revealed that Claudio Neves Valente had planned the attack for at least 6 semesters and left video behind. CBS's Anna Schechter.
He reveals that he had been planning the attack for quite some time. He said, quote, "I had plenty of opportunities, especially this semester. I had plenty of opportunities, but I always chickened out."
The former Brown student and Portuguese national was found dead in a New Hampshire storage facility. Greenland and Denmark are asking for a speedy meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio as President Trump talks about taking over the self-governed Danish territory.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt released a statement saying President Trump has made it well known that acquiring Greenland is a national security priority of the United States, adding military action is an option. Tom Hoem is the former minister of Greenland for the Danish government.
There's absolutely no reason for this situation. No reason.
He added buying Greenland isn't an option either.
We are not for sale.
Trump recently hinted he'll make a decision on Greenland in about 2 months. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Prior to the capture of Nicolas Maduro, the CIA was commissioned to produce an assessment modeling potential political leadership scenarios in Venezuela should Maduro cease to be president. CBS's Olivia Gazis reports.
We don't know exactly when the assessment was commissioned, but we do know that it was briefed to the president and his closest advisors as he was weighing whether to authorize this Operation Absolute Resolve.
A group of lawmakers and the families of fallen Capitol Hill police officers gathered to mark 5 years since the deadly January 6th U.S. Capitol attack. CBS's Allison Keyes.
Holding candles, a group of Democrats gathered on the steps of Capitol Hill where rioters attacked lawmakers 5 years ago.
We must never forget.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was at his desk that day when
thousands of rioters, egged on by Donald Trump, stormed the U.S. Capitol.
Schumer blasted the president for pardoning the rioters. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
A year after wildfires devastated areas of Los Angeles, the new fire chief spoke today about some of the lessons learned and some of the changes that will be made. Jaime Moore was not chief at the time of the Palisades and Lockman fires.
There were clearly significant shortcomings in our response as a department. And as the newly appointed fire chief, the responsibility for how this department prepares, deploys, and adapts for the future rests with me.
A record day on Wall Street for the Dow and S&P 500. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Coming up, feet of fresh powder, but also difficult driving in the mountains today. Let's get to Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Let's see. This report is, okay, Tacoma North 5, just before the Tacoma Dome. We still got this collision blocking the HOV lane, and then about a mile up the road past the Tacoma Dome, a separate collision takes up the HOV and left lanes. So right now, those added together has traffic stacked up at State Route 16. And then we have a new crash that just occurred a minute ago. It's northbound 7. Your off-ramp to northbound 705. That ramp is now fully blocked from this collision. Just a mess down in Tacoma right now. Over to the Valley Freeway, it's 45 minutes between Renton and Puyallup. Heavy volumes between Algona and Sumner. Seattle to Fedway is up to 45 minutes. Bellevue to Renton, 25. South 5 packed from the U-District I-90. North 5 gets heavy approaching the West Seattle Bridge. And if you're heading to the passes right now, it's dumping snow on all of our open passes. Chains are required for 10,000 gross vehicle weight and over on Stevens, Snoqualmie, Blue and White Pass. Stevens Pass, chains required on all vehicles except four-wheel drive, and oversized vehicles prohibited across all four. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granello. We start with breaking news out of Pierce County, where Gig Harbor police and fire crews are on the scene of a vehicle crashing into a building. Police say some people have been hurt, and PSC says it's also contained a gas leak at that building. For now, though, avoid the area near SR 16 and Olympic Drive. After a slow start to the season, the Summit at Snoqualmie is looking forward to feet of fresh powder. Guy Lawrence is president and GM.
We'll take it because, yes, we could do a lot more snow. We're still trying to get more terrain and lifts open. And the forecast looks very positive. So he's hoping most of that is correct.
KIRO 7 TV's Ranji Sinha watching road conditions up to the pass.
WashDOT is preparing indeed. Now, the agency says they're bringing in extra plows to attack the snow once things get going. In the past 24 hours, we've seen a lot of prep and not much in the way of weather, but we're anticipating it. This is good for people who want to hit the slopes up here near Snoqualmie Pass. But first, they have to get here, and that could be a battle.
You will not be able to head north on the Ship Canal Bridge this weekend. I-5 northbound closing from I-90 to Northeast 45th Streets. Transportation Secretary Julie Meredith says the closure starts at midnight Friday as crews prepare a work zone.
The last major efforts to maintain and preserve this bridge happened decades ago. We've seen over 200 emergency repairs since 2019.
That means come next Monday, the two left lanes on the northbound Ship Canal Bridge will be closed 24/7. That is going to last for 5 months. Seattle Seahawks may need a new offensive coordinator next season. Clint Kubiak has now emerged as a top candidate for NFL head coaching jobs. Sports Illustrated reports at least 4 teams have requested interviews with Kubiak. They include the Las Vegas Raiders, who just fired former Hawks coach Pete Carroll. Weather now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. We are looking at wet and windy weather for this afternoon. And again, heavy snow for the mountains. Winter storm warning in effect through Thursday afternoon. 2 to 4 feet of new snow expected. Right now, 45 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. This is the John Curley Show on KIRO News Radio.
Greg Tomlin and Mike Lewis sitting in for John Curley as first time I've had the opportunity to guest host in 2026. So happy New Year, Mike. How you doing?
We are just barely into 2026. I was just actually checking the date. I haven't been on this radio station on 2026 either. It's nice to be back.
Let's make it a good first go-round, shall we? So happy 2026 Pacific Northwest. And a new year has brought new leadership to Washington State's biggest city, and not without controversy in the first few days of January here. Let's hope what has transpired between the city attorney, the police chief, the mayor can be chalked up to, mere misunderstanding when it comes to drug policy enforcement. But a more skeptical or cynical take might cause one to interpret this whole episode in city governance as incompetence or the fact that a neophyte has taken over in the mayor's office.
Well, yeah, I mean, a neophyte has taken over in the mayor's office.
Was that rude? Was that a pejorative? Was that not fair?
I don't think so. I mean, well, depending on who says it and how they say it, I suppose.
There you go.
But I think that she did not surround herself with people in her office have been there a long time. I mean, she got a whole bunch of political veterans, to her credit, got a whole bunch of political veterans. She's surrounded by those folks. I think that this is one of those situations, and this happens to every administration at some point, is the interdepartmental communication. That you're looping the other people in who are also have a party to this, or who are a party to this. Looping them in always is it's applied erratically on a new administration, and I think that they learned a big lesson in making sure everybody is saying the same thing in a similar sort of way. Personally, as a reporter, you thrive in these moments when they're not, because sometimes you're actually getting closer to the truth. That means the lack of communication also may mean a lack of agreement on what that policy is.
And so what are we talking about specifically here at the outset? Let's bring in Luke Ducey, a KIRO radio reporter here, to see if he can distill this story as best he can without excluding important context. I've heard you on various shows throughout yesterday and today here on KIRO, Luke. And now here's our bite at the apple, Mike and I, to talk with you about this story. Where do you begin, and what is the latest in terms of this saga with the city attorney, police chief, and the mayor?
Yeah, well, it's been a whirlwind. Let's start there and say it's just been a chaotic whirlwind for the last 3 days. And what we're talking about, folks, and a lot of listeners may know this already, is because we heard Mayor Wilson on this show yesterday as well, talking about this, whether or not there was a new policy introduced by Mayor Wilson about drug enforcement across the city of Seattle. So this all kicked off as we're seeing the dust settle after these 3 chaotic days. This all kicked off after a memo from the newly elected Seattle City Attorney Erica Evans sent to her City Attorney's Office criminal division. I have the memo. I've read it. I've gone through it. What it did was it outlined the creation of a liaison team. I think it's going to be a 2-person team called the Lead Liaison Team, reference to the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. That's a program that's been set up as a tool to help law enforcement and prosecutors really dive into the drug epidemic and crisis in our city. It offers an alternate way to help people. Instead of sending them to jail if they qualify, you can send them to a diversion program where they'll get treatment and things like housing and other supports. So the idea, though, in this memo was that they would work with police officers. However, somehow that did not get across, and boy, would it be nice to be a fly on the wall of these discussions and who was in the room and who wasn't, because Chief Sean Barnes reacted this way, and so did the Seattle Police Officers Guild. We'll get into that in a second as well. On January 1st, he sent an email, Chief Barnes, to his staff, entire staff, saying, hey, I've got some information to share from the city attorney's office, that all drug cases are now going to be diverted to diversion rather than prosecution. And that is when media jumped on this, because that right there, if that were the case, that is a policy shift. So we started asking everyone in the world, from the police department to the mayor's office, what's going on? Have you shifted your drug enforcement policy? The mayor kind of woke up, she said on the John Curley Show yesterday, after her swearing in, and the headlines had already hit national news. And she's like, well, what's going on here? She said there's no policy change, never has been. She said Chief Barnes' email was being misinterpreted. Seattle's Police Guild, their president, Mike Solon, jumped on this, called it a naive and ignorant political decision to not arrest offenders for open drug use. As this news story started swirling more and more, he referred to the policy as suicidal empathy, that there's a flaw in people in the community who think that meeting people where they are in the throes of addiction is the correct path to lift them up. And it continued. We heard from nonprofits as well, saying this is going to mean more overdoses, more drug deaths, people flocking to Seattle to take drugs. And then SPD came out with another email trying to help the situation on Monday, just yesterday, saying they are going to continue enforcing drug levels, laws, that is, and making arrests under department policy, but that there is another policy that's going to be followed by the city attorney's office. Look, it turns out, bottom line now, after the dust has settled, that after 3 days of this news cycle swirling, it's dying down, and this is a case, it seems that the wires got crossed somehow between SPD, the city attorney's office, and the mayor. There is no new policy in place. It is just a new emphasis on using the lead team to help with drug enforcement.
So no new policy in place, except maybe better communications among departments, right? That would probably be maybe a policy effort they might make.
Maybe, and let me touch on that a little bit, because that's one thing I have noticed, and I'll make an observation as a journalist, a longtime journalist. Perhaps there are people in places here that don't have a lot of experience with media, most particularly with the mayor's office. And I say that because I still haven't heard from the mayor's office comms team, and I've sent multiple emails to them. The mayor last night was at the swearing in for Erica Evans, the city attorney, and there was a KIRO 7 TV news crew, and I've heard the recording where they went up to the mayor to ask just for some clarifying questions about this, and this news cycle is still continuing. And she told them something to the effect, I thought we weren't talking about that anymore, and she walked away from that news crew. But there was also this, a statement that the mayor's office and communications team put out early on in all this, to try to make some headway, to say there's been no policy change, etc. But the first sentence they put in that news release, and that's not just to media, folks, that's to all of you, that's the listening public, that's the viewing public, that's to all stakeholders involved. This is what they're saying publicly about this, and it was that you'll know when I make a policy change because I will tell you when I make a policy change. And that's the first line in a statement like that. We're seeing that kind of disturbing trend nationwide, when it comes to elected officials and media, giving media those lines. I'll say it. I mean, especially at the national level, you see that with the Trump administration a lot. And with Trump himself, he'll say things like that. But very interesting approach to kind of, you'll know it when I say it. Now here's what else I'm going to say.
Luke, you're a good man. Thank you for your reporting on this, especially the last 48 hours. We relieve you of your duties for now. Please have a good rest tonight. Try not to dream or rather have nightmares about drug enforcement policy in the city of Seattle. You've been neck deep in this for a long time now. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always good to talk with you.
Thank you, Luke.
All right, so Mike, do you think that the mayor and or city attorney have issued enough statements here to sort of quiet the controversy? Is this much ado about nothing? Is it really the status quo and can be chalked up to just a miscommunication here?
Well, I think it is now. I think the questions were fair early on. They didn't communicate it terribly well. And you need to figure out whether or not there is a change in policy. And to clarify what Mayor Wilson is saying, I can't tell you how many times I've been told as a reporter that, and I do more, on-air stuff now, but I was a newspaper reporter for 30 years. I can't tell you how many times someone has said to me, I will tell you when I make a change, and they don't. Or I will tell you when I didn't make a change. I will tell you when I do, and they had made a change. They just didn't know that it got out to the reporters. And so I think that's a ridiculous thing to start a press release. I mean, I agree with Luke on this. It immediately, what it does for most people is it gets your awareness heightened, not reduced. It makes you feel like, all right, so they're not telling me something is what they're trying to tell me by saying this. I mean, that's your natural reaction.
Someone
as a
telling you
reporter.
to calm down when you're.
Well, what is that like? That
helpful.
calm down has never worked on anyone, on any of the calm downs in history, right?
Well, and I think in the macro here, what's happened in the past few days portends something potentially endemic during Katie Wilson's term as mayor. She's sort of getting a trial by fire right now in the earliest days of her administration. What any CEO will tell you about running an organization, or in her case, running a city, is that trust is paramount between all the groups that are working for you, and that you need to communicate clearly with brevity and articulate yourself well and do it with as little ambiguity as possible here. And I just sort of worry about that for the future because, I mean, we're really in like the first week and this has already been a sort of a massive controversy.
And to make it pretty clear to folks who may not be as familiar with the structure, the city attorney is a separate elected office in Seattle.
But they collaborate with the mayor.
But they're a separate elected office in Seattle. And so to assume that their agendas are aligned is to make a mistake because their agendas are frequently not aligned or they're partially aligned, but not in other areas, or they were aligned and now they're not. I mean, there's any number of things that can happen when you are worried about your office and your election and the people you're working with, right? And both sides are like that. I mean, frequently the mayor will get out in front. This is every city's history, especially when you have a separately elected city attorney, which is not the structure in every city.
Right.
When you have a separately elected person, their agenda is not going to align with yours frequently, even if you're in the same political party, in the same city, in the same office.
But
it's
they're
going
aligned
to be different.
Pretty closely ideologically, but based on history in terms of their philosophy.
You know what we don't know? Exactly what you just said. We actually don't know because in practice, these things change rapidly. And we're going to find out exactly if they are aligned, much less how they are aligned.
Well, and for some important historical context here, and people that live in and around the Seattle area won't forget this, Seattle began prosecuting misdemeanor drug use and possession cases in 2023 again. So that was kind of a shift in policy, right? And so the big question is whether we're reverting back to the days pre-2023 where we're just going to...
They are saying they're not doing. Which they are saying what they're trying to do is create a screening process so they can sort out, because I think the argument has been, if you were to extrapolate what they're saying, the argument has been the decision to go fully into treatment and not arrest was probably wrong. The decision to go fully into arrest and not treatment was probably wrong. But if we put a screening panel there that can say, this one's good for treatment, this one's better for arrest, this one's good for treatment, or some sort of hybridized system, now I'm not saying that this is what's going to be effectively done.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be. It may not be. But I'm saying that approach actually, one, she's right. It isn't fundamentally a policy shift. But two, it's not necessarily back to when the new city attorney worked for Pete Holmes, which was and not even early in Pete Holmes' tenure, but later on, it was mostly diversion programs.
But what I believe the philosophy of our new mayor is, or I guess it's not my new mayor, I live on the east side, but Katie Wilson's philosophy and the new city attorney, Erica Evans' philosophy, it seems to me to point to the notion that social services and rehabilitation programs are the answer to the drug issue here in the Seattle area. And I would just posit the idea that it doesn't work because you can never coerce someone into treatment. That's one of the sticking points here is that, police can make arrests, but that doesn't necessarily mean jail time or prosecution or criminal charges, right? Arrest is distinctly different from that. So what happens after the arrest? And are we saying, okay, everybody needs to go to the LEAD program, but if you refuse to go into the rehabilitation program, they say, well, the option is still on the table that we can file criminal charges. Do you really think, honestly, that ever happens? If history tells us anything, I would say no. And so, again, I'm skeptical and somewhat cynical with the notion of, boy, these people just really want help. And if we just gave it to them, man, they would take it and clean their lives up and turn it all around. And that philosophy has led us to the disaster that Seattle has become in terms of drugs the past 10 years.
Yeah, so
push back on that if you would.
Well, where do I start?
Excuse me.
So where you've got it pretty wrong is that the philosophy of arrest first ever worked in Seattle, and it didn't. It didn't work in the 1980s when the crime and drug rate was much higher than it is now. It did not work then. It did not work in the 90s. It did not work in the 2000s. And so I'm not suggesting that diversion is an end-all be-all to drug treatment. I think that a combo, some sort of program that arrests repeat offenders, especially ones who have some other collateral crime in commission of whatever drugs that they're using, and treatment is probably because most cities that do both of those in some effective way, and very few cities do them super effectively, it tends to work. But the idea that these programs are a failure, even if that is true, is not actually proof that the old system worked, because have you ever spent
to be the lesser of two evils?
Well, why is it a lesser of two evils? I mean, why what is the ranking system on that lesser of two evils?
The priority of a city
if you don't have room in your jail,
to protect the law-abiding citizens. That's the priority of the city. And so when you instead enable a class of people to keep abusing the law and abusing themselves to the detriment of the health of the law-abiding citizens,
then why don't we see a drop?
You've made a bad trade-off.
If you're making this argument, fair enough.
Yeah.
Why don't we see a drop in crime rate as it relates to regular citizens, much less? See, this is the problem. I get it. I get on the natural. Someone's using a dangerous drug. They're using it on the street, and then perhaps they're breaking into some sort of downtown real estate to get that.
Perhaps.
I get that. And I'm
perhaps. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
You get my point.
I get your point.
Okay. So perhaps this individual has done that. Not every individual has necessarily done that, but let's just say that. My point being that if that were effective, it would have shown effectiveness. We do nothing better in a city that we track than crime stats, and it hasn't worked. I'm not saying this other one does, but I'm saying to suggest that the treatment thing is somehow, a worse program. I don't know that there's any statistical evidence for that.
For better or worse, the Seattle Times has noted that Erica Evans' swearing in has signaled a new era of progressive prosecutorial leadership, which, if history is prologue, I think we'll see less of a focus on crime and punishment, instead an emphasis on rehabilitation, social justice, and maybe addressing some foggy idea of systemic bias. But Time will tell. Greg Tomlin and Mike Lewis in for John Curley on KIRO Radio. Time to send it over to the real-time traffic desk. And our buddy Nate Connors. What's shaking, Nate?
Hey, it's soggy commute out there, so that always makes for a fun drive. But outside of that, we're seeing good news in Tacoma. All of those earlier collisions have cleared, including 2 of them, North 5 near the Tacoma Dome, and then that northbound 7 to northbound 705 collision is all clear. So all those backups are behind them have thinned out. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway, it's climbed to 55 minutes. Pretty solid now from north to south, and you get really heavy south of Highway 18 into Puyallup. Seattle to Federal Way is up to 50 minutes. Solid backup now from the Duwamish Curve all the way past South 272nd and Federal Way. South Center to Bellevue is going to take you 20 minutes. It's filling in between the Renton S curves and the VMAC. Both Lake Bridges, though, are all clear. Seattle to Everett, Bellevue to Everett, 45 minutes. And in Everett, North 5, you're slow from the Boeing Freeway to Highway 2. Eastbound on the Boeing Freeway slows from the factory over to I-5. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Hi, I'm Charlie Hart.
And I'm Amanda Factor.
Toppled by the U.S., Manuel Noriega and Nicolas Maduro.
Former State Attorney General Rob McKenna joins us to talk about how the two cases differ and what happens next for Maduro.
The snow continues to pile up in the mountains. We'll have the latest on the winter storm warning.
And, of course, Sully has traffic every 10 minutes.
Hope you can join us tomorrow, 5 to 9 on Seattle's Morning News.
On KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, and the KIRO Newsradio app.
For a long time, I thought retirement planning was mostly about hitting a number. Get there, and then life starts. Hi, this is Ursula Royteen. What Trajan Wealth helped me see is that the number is really only part of the story. At Trajan Wealth, their advisors are fiduciaries, which means they're obligated to put your needs first, and they start by asking how you actually want your life to feel. When Mark and I sat down with them, we talked about having more time with family, more time to travel, and how to make thoughtful choices without feeling like we had to put today on hold for tomorrow. I have goals for today and for when I retire. If you're ready to start the new year with straight talk and thoughtful guidance, call Trajan Wealth today and schedule a free meeting. Trajan, spelled Trajan. Call 206-656-3300. That's 206-656-3300 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC. SEC registered investment advisor. Client paid advertisement. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
At Guardian Roofing, Gutters, and Insulation, a well-insulated attic can be your home's secret weapon. Upgrading attic insulation is a cost-effective way to make your home more energy efficient. It also helps keep your home warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Better insulation equals better air quality, less moisture, and no mold, improving the air quality you and your family breathe. Call now for $300 off attic ceiling and ventilation, and visit us at guardianroofing.com.
Drill, baby, drill. If you're an SEC accredited investor looking for one of the most powerful tax advantages available in 2026, now is the time to take a serious look at Encore Energy. Under current federal guidelines, accredited investors may be able to deduct up to 100% of their investment in 2026. And for many investors, that level of tax relief is simply too valuable to ignore. Encore Energy offers operator direct participation in U.S. horizontal oil drilling in areas with a long record of success, including more than 100 producing wells already drilled. These are established fields with existing infrastructure and proven and ongoing production potential. For investors with $100K seeking aggressive tax strategy, portfolio diversification, and a way to participate directly in American energy development, call Encore Energy to get details now. These programs involve significant risk and aren't suitable for everyone. Call 1-800-544-1221. That's 1-800-544-1221. Again, 1-800-544-1221. Encore Energy, where smart investors act before the window closes. Encore Energy at 1-800-544-1221.
You're 62 or older, lots of equity in your home, and you want to pull some cash out, but a refinance or HELOC, well, it means a bigger payment. And the cost of selling your home, it's insane. So what should you do? Hey, Brock Hewitt here for Tila Mortgage. You don't need to live at a lower standard than you deserve. You really got 3 options. Number 1, sell your home. 2, get a HELOC or refinance. Or 3, get a reverse mortgage. Tila has done the analysis and believes that a reverse mortgage is the most cost-effective way for seniors to get cash out of their homes without selling and having the option of no monthly mortgage payment. Too good to be true? No. Call today and let's compare. Tila, spelled Tila, is a name you can trust for truthful, honest, and ethical advice for all your mortgage needs. Give them a call today. 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Insurance and property taxes are borrower's responsibility. Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
Eric Johnson here. I spent the past 30 years working to help make our community better informed, better protected when it comes to consumer issues, and better equipped to take on whatever life throws at us. That's why I love the free Washington Accident book series from Davis Law Group. These books keep us better informed about the law, better able to protect ourselves on and off the road, and better off when all is said and done after an accident. Chris Davis didn't have to write these books. He did it because he saw a need. People who were in accidents or other legal situations didn't know what to do, what pictures to take, documents to request. Only a tiny fraction of the people who get these free books will ever become clients of Davis Law Group, but that's not the point. Chris wrote them because it was the right thing to do. The free Washington Accident book series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the road might throw at them. Get yours at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and MyNorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. The state makes a 7.5 million ton mistake about the benefits of the Climate Commitment Act. KIRO News Radio's Heather Bosch is live in studio to explain.
Aaron, the Washington State Commerce Department said that thanks to money raised by the CCA, the state's providing rebates which allow lower income families to switch to appliances and other products powered by electricity instead of fossil fuels, and that the program will reduce 7.5 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. Only it won't. It'll only reduce 78,000 tons of emissions. The department issued a correction blaming the vastly different number on a clerical error. Aaron?
Thank you, Heather. At least 40 people were killed in the U.S. mission that captured the leader of Venezuela and his wife. This is according to Venezuelan officials, who say those killed include civilians and military personnel. Washington Congressman Adam Smith, the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, got a classified briefing on that operation and tells CNN.
The UN Charter is clear. We signed on to the UN Charter, so therefore we were clearly breaking the law and doing a regime change operation. That's not even debatable.
White House says Maduro is a narco-terrorist who destabilized the region. He and his wife pleaded not guilty yesterday in a New York courtroom to drug trafficking charges. U.S. Marshal Service warns of a surge in online scams. KIRO News Radio's Jillian Raftery has more.
Scam losses have quadrupled since 2020, in large part because scammers are getting better and using urgency, like convincing emails telling you about an outstanding warrant. That's what the Marshal Service is warning about. They have case numbers, even signatures supposedly from an active judge. When scammers get you on the phone, caller ID may even say it's from a courthouse or government agency, but it's all fake. Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Seattle City Council now has a new president. Members voted today unanimously for Joy Hollingsworth.
Everyone who walks through these doors will be treated with respect and kindness, no matter how they show up in their spirit, their attitude, or their words. We will always run in a hyper-local focus on local issues and transparency.
Hollingsworth was born and raised in Seattle's Central District, a neighborhood she now represents. Now to the real-time traffic desk at 3:33. We check in with Nate Connors.
All righty, Seattle to Everett, Bellevue to Everett are both 45-minute commutes. In North 5, you're going to slow from the U District to Linwood. 405 scattered backups between Kirkland and Canyon Park, and then again approaching the Alderwood interchange. Heading into Seattle, South 5, you're bumper to bumper at Ravenna down to the West Seattle Bridge, or it looks like we've got a new collision there blocking the left lane. Linwood to Seattle right now is a 20-minute commute. South 405 solid between 520 and the Renton Landing. Close to freeway speeds here, so Bellevue to Renton 35 minutes. minutes. Renton to Puyallups, a 55-minute commute. Pretty solid from north to south. You get extra heavy south of Highway 18. Seattle to Federal Way is up at 50 minutes. It's slow from the Duwamish Curve all the way to South 288 before you catch a break. Tacoma to Olympia, we're doing okay at 40 minutes. Otherwise, typical backups across the region right now. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
And your forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. We do have some showers at times this afternoon. It's going to stay wet and windy, also heavy mountain snow, and highs today in the mid-40s. Right now, 45 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Mike Lewis, Greg Tomlin here in service of John Curley. Also, Jacob's here, which is kind of nice. Jacob, good to see you in the studio.
Yeah, you too.
It has been a long time. We both suffered a lot of trauma in here. And it's nice to see you in such a good mood. So this is something that actually hits fairly close to home. Home being my other gig as a co-owner of a bar here in Seattle. It is this idea that that happy hour is in free fall, that it is in decline. The Wall Street Journal did a story today on how, from a variety of factors, people drinking less, remote work, layoffs, any variety of things, habits changing, workout culture, that happy hour is no longer a thing. And my guess is the one thing that isn't mentioned here, but probably is a big player, is I think that companies have been less likely to allow bosses to spend money on things involving alcohol because they feel like there's a potential legal liability. This is when the lawyers get involved. Yep. And once again, work hard to kill fun.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly. And so obviously everyone points at me to want to talk about this and says, since we do actually, I have a conflict of interest here, folks. I can sometimes make money on happy hour, and so. But the funny thing is, here's a secret: we don't offer one at the bar because we are already cheaper than almost everyone in the neighborhood, if not cheaper.
There's your sales pitch for the day. Conflict of interest alert.
And the point is that I'm not sure. One, I'm not sure the story actually backs up the premise that happy hour. It's saying that it's actually thriving in some areas. It's less known, but I do get the remote work thing would absolutely change it. Although in one case, there's a publishing house that says that it's actually helped them reconnect with people. Personally, from the newspaper culture that I grew up in professionally, going out and having a beer with your colleagues was I would say in some cases too common. I think there were problems with drinking sometimes in some newsrooms. Not every newsroom I worked in, but certainly with some people in some newsrooms, absolutely, because it was such a strong part of the culture. On the other hand, getting together with our coworkers was, I don't know how any modern journalist works without actually having a collegial relationship, in some degree, competitive relationship, in other degrees, with your colleagues. And I think that the after work get together was one of those things that took the edge off the competitiveness and made you see each other as human beings. And I think that is actually, it's a shame to see. If that is going away, it's a shame that it is.
This story makes me think of the phrase work-life balance. And I've never really liked that phrase because it assumes a disassociation between life and the work that we do on a daily basis. And I think workplaces have become less relational, less personal, and there's been a fracturing of our lives. So we say, well, my real life is what I do when I'm at home with the people I love and the friends, and then I go to work, and that's where I earn money and do that kind of thing. And so I think that plays into this story of happy hours beginning to go away. Of course, it's a more complex picture of that. Wall Street Journal points out that there's been a corporate cultural reset in light of, what happened during COVID. I actually believe that maybe even the Me Too movement played a role in this, in corporations and businesses not bringing the personal lives into the work space because, you get people up on booze a little bit. You're kind of asking for potential problems between coworkers who might not normally act out in an inappropriate way if they don't have libations coursing through their veins, right? And so, but it's also a shame because I agree with you. The bigger picture here is I really do think that there's been a fracturing of work life and life when really they're inherently linked. In my perspective.
Yeah, I think seeing your colleagues as human beings, I think getting to know people a little bit more personally is in many cases good. I mean, obviously with a caveat on don't overshare, but the point being is I think that it's always been very effective, and it doesn't have to be booze. That's the thing. You can go out and have a soda, or you can go out and have a cup of coffee with someone.
Slightly different flavor, metaphorically and literally, when you're having sodas with coworkers rather than Jack Daniels or Bud Lights.
Well, except, though, there are people who would rather not drink. And
that's true.
And I respect that.
For sure.
I know, again, back to my own experience, I know how much NA stuff we sell. Non-alcoholic stuff we sell. I mean, that's part of the culture now, but there's a reason that people are going there to consume an NA beverage when they can drink their own tap water at home, right? The reason is the social nature of it, the collegiality of it, the meeting people or meeting new people, the having a conversation that you're not going to have maybe either by yourself or with whomever else is in your household. And that thing is what can happen after work. And I think that has been from getting additional work opportunities to learning about other people. So when you have that conflict and you're going to, in a newsroom, you're going to have some personality conflicts, as we all know here at KIRO. It certainly was true at the Post-Intelligencer when I worked there. Having that place, that safety net of knowing the person as a human is fundamentally important in rebuilding relationships when maybe you get a little crossways on a work matter.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is the elephant in the room, and that is smartphones, the ubiquitous nature of smartphones in 2025. And that is our friends are our phones, large in part. Our closest companion are our phones. They're not the people sitting across from us in the workspace. So one of my favorite pastors has this line. He says, people are messy. Therefore, expect messiness in life, in your interactions. And more we're leaning towards the comfortability and the self-validation and the algorithms that give us exactly what we want when we want it on demand, rather than having to work out the complexities of relationships between colleagues at work, which again starts with some amount of messiness between people, because we do disagree, we do have conflict, we don't see eye to eye on everything, but we're not forced to have to confront those variables and those dynamics in this day and age as much, because we can retreat to the comfort of our isolation and just get that wonderful dopamine hit of the smartphones, which is so much more pleasant than I have a problem with this coworker, and there's a get together after work today, but that's going to involve me sort of inhibiting some of my real opinions, and then he might say something obnoxious, or she might do this, which bothers me. Forget it. Just screw all that. I'm going to go home. It's more comfortable.
Well, I mean, I think that's...
Don't you think that plays into it a little bit?
I think it does a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a completely legitimate response to not wanting to go out. I mean, not wanting to go out with your coworkers, I think it's always been a fine response. Doesn't bother me at all. I think people who want to should. I think people who don't want to, there should be no pressure within an organization to force people to go out and socialize with people that they don't want to socialize with. But I would say one thing that you can find a strong... not a causation, maybe, although I think most of us suspect that there is one, but it's certainly a correlation, is the rise in social media and the rise in the numbers of people who are saying that they are lonely in the United States. I mean, they have walked right alongside each other for a long time now. So I think that maybe a few more opportunities. I think that if bosses could arrange it, again, it doesn't have to be drinking, right? It doesn't have to be drinking. It can be any number of things, but trying to find a way to get people to see each other. The way adults make friends, how kids make friends?
They're thrown into situations by their parents and they have to make do.
They make friends by repetition. They make friends with their neighbors. They make friends with probably their cousins. They make friends with the kids they're seeing that's how all of us made friends as kids. You know how adults make friends according to studies on adult friendship? Repetition. So that's why you make friends with the people at work. And so these sort of things, I think, if you want a cure for loneliness, you got to get around people. I don't think that the cure for loneliness is going to be found in a smartphone or online. And so I hope that that happy hour is not necessarily dying, and if the booze end of it dies, I think I'm fine with that. But I do think that people should try in-person get-togethers as it relates to the work.
We're in complete and total agreement on that. My question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So I think you and I would both advocate that businesses and organizations should create more opportunities for colleagues to get together in social settings to become more relational with one another. But I wonder if corporations have found, we've done that and people aren't showing up as much. And so we just canceled those activities. I know that's happened in my own personal life, which is, we need to make this available. And then we get this great new opportunity and nobody shows up to coffee hour at the school.
I would suggest to individuals, you need to ask someone to go grab a cup of coffee. You need to do it on your own. I don't wait on my organization.
Fine, we'll go to your Between Two Gregs show, Greg.
Yeah, there you go. Shameless plug. Come see my cover band this Friday night. Now, Greg Tallman and Mike Lewis in on the John Curley Show. Let's send it on over to Nate Connors.
All right, Greg, Seattle to Everett, Bellevue to Everett are both up at 50-minute commutes now. Everett to Marysville continues to look pretty good, just a 10-minute drive there. Heading into Seattle, South 5, bumper to bumper from Lake City Way to the West Seattle Bridge. Looks like they just cleared that earlier collision in that area. Linwood to Seattle up just a bit to 25 minutes. South 405 is all clear until you reach Bellevue. Then it thickens up at 520, and that continues all the way into Renton. Bellevue to Renton, plan on 35 minutes. Renton to Puyallups pushing an hour. Pretty solid backup from north to south. South of Highway 18, it is just crawling. Seattle to Federal Way is at 45 minutes. You're slow from the Duwamish Curve all the way to South 288th and Federal Way. And we've got a wind advisory this afternoon across the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
This is your city.
Seattle voters have spoken, and they wanted change.
Wilson really resonated, especially with some younger voters.
On the terms of working people, make it work for them.
Katie Wilson is just actually not afraid to say she's a socialist.
What challenges does the political newcomer face once taking office?
Never having any managerial experience.
Stay with KIRO News Radio and MyNorthwest.com for the latest.
Change takes time, and we don't give it time.
And the KIRO News Radio app.
How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I was able to achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You'll feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. I'm surprised and relieved every time I look in the mirror. You need to know what that feels like. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there is no one I would trust more than Advanced Hair Restoration. I experienced their exceptional standard of care firsthand. Your comfort and your results are the top priority of the entire Advanced Hair team. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 425-449-8185. That's 425-449-8185. Discover what meeting your resolutions could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Guys, if your energy is low, your strength isn't what it used to be, or your drive feels off, it's not just getting older. For many men, it's low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health Washington, you can start with a free T-check, exam, and consultation, so you get real answers about your testosterone levels and overall health. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off testosterone replacement therapy. This isn't guesswork or one-size-fits-all treatment. Revive specializes in personalized, closely monitored testosterone care designed to help men feel stronger, sharper, and more like themselves again. With over 120,000 patients treated since 2011, Revive Men's Health is trusted for results, not hype. If you've been putting this off, now is the time to act. Claim your free T-check and consultation and see if you qualify for 25% off TRT. This month only. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply, must medically qualify.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-897-4400. That's 800-897-4400.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
The real estate market is picking up and you want to sell with the best. You need to work with the Novak team. Mike Novak guarantees to sell your home in 21 days. If not, he'll sell it for free. Go to meetthenovaks.com. I'll spell it for you. Meet the Novaks Novaks.com.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Greg Tomlin and Mike Lewis here, filling in for John Curley. Lego has introduced yet another, they've developed another advancement in Lego bricks. These are the new smart bricks. They have sound and light effects. Of course, these are Star Wars related, which has become a subset, a very important subset for all of what Lego does. Apparently, these bricks can make the hyperspace zoom noise, so you don't actually have to do these anymore yourself, Greg. And I know that you've been working on yours. You can let it go
every day.
It's now something that can be handled electronically for you. You can work on other clever sounds that you like to make. The smart bricks, they're in the shape of a normal Lego brick, are being launched in 3 Star Wars themed sets and are powered by custom-made chips smaller than a single Lego stud. I think that's all we probably need from the story. But I want to talk.
No, keep going.
No, but I want to talk about. So, do you remember the first time? Because I actually remember the first time I ever even saw a Lego set, and it was we had a friend, my best friend in grade school, a guy named Eric. We got to be friends in like second grade. We were friends all the way through senior year, and close friends all the way through senior year in high school. His family was always, they had a lot of family overseas, like in Germany and in Australia, and they always had these toys first, like these things they would get when they would travel around Europe, and they'd bring them back, and I'd see them be so like waves of jealousy because Lego was pretty cool. Do you remember do you have Legos as a kid?
I remember the first time I stepped on a Lego. It wasn't a pleasant experience.
I would imagine it wasn't.
No, I loved Legos growing up, and my youngest child is 9 years old, is obsessed with Legos, and we have to stop by the Lego store in Bell Square Mall whenever we're within like a 2-mile radius. And I love sort of the purity and innocence that they've always represented to me. I'm a contrarian on this story about advancements in Lego technology because I really think, at the risk of being poetic here in a nauseating fashion, the purity of taking the raw materials of interlocking bricks and snapping them together in a profound act of creation is being lost here with the addition of the bells and the whistles and the hype. And look, there was nothing ostentatious previously about Legos. They were simple, straightforward. I would even argue eternal in a sense, right? And again, we're outsourcing a lot of this next generation's critical thinking to the technology that we all get carried away with. Because like you said, now the onus is no longer on the child or the person to utilize their imagination and their creativity, now the block will make the sound for you. So you don't have to channel something in your brain to come up with, what do I want this thing to represent or be? The most alarming piece of this story was there's smart mini figures that each have their own personality traits. So in other words, now the kid doesn't even have to assign a personality trait to the Lego. It's done it for you. And so you've outsourced that as well. And
so maybe,
I just find it problematic.
Maybe what Lego could do is build the Greg Tomlin existential Lego set that allows you to sort of think about the profound building process as opposed to just making, an X-Wing fighter.
I think at my heart, I'm fairly conservative minded, so I pride myself on being maybe a bit of too much of a preservationist or a conservationist or whatever the term might be.
Or if we could put it into constitutional terms,
Here we go.
A strict constructionist.
I'm a textualist when it comes to Legos. Exactly. Originalist, anyone? But yeah,
you know what Lego did do of great service to kids? One, I actually kind of agree with you. I liked it when they were not proscriptive on what you were supposed to build with a kid. But also, they killed one of the more complicated, dangerous toys of my childhood, which was the Erector set. And the Erector set was like all nuts and bolts and things to swallow and things to get cut with. Like, it was crazy.
And here's the thing I've noticed.
And Lego helped kill it off.
Our kids are less bored nowadays, and that is not a good thing. That's when real inspiration comes out, is when a kid has to think for a little bit and sit in that discomfort for a little while, and then it spurns imagination and wonder, and they begin taking off with creativity, and that's less and less happening in this day and age. Greg Tomlin, Mike Lewis, in for John Curley. Coming up, we'll talk about the latest news out of Venezuela and the ouster of dictator Nicolas Maduro. What comes next there? We'll get into it in a moment. Let's shoot it on over to Nate Connors now at the Real-Time Traffic Desk.
Thank you, sir. South 5 at the south end of the Ship Canal Bridge. That right center lane is blocked by IRT because he's blocking a large pothole. You're backed up from Ravenna all the way to the West Seattle Bridge. Seattle to Everett and Bellevue to Everett are both 50-minute commutes right now. Bellevue to Renton, give yourself 35 minutes. It's solid from Bellevue all the way into Renton. Renton to Puyallup, we're pushing an hour, 55-minute commute with a pretty solid backup from north to south. Seattle to Federal Way is 45 minutes. It's solid from Tukwila all the way to about south 288th there in Federal Way. And if you're heading up to Snoqualmie Pass, eastbound 90 at milepost 47, just as you start to climb the summit, we've got a collision involving a semi blocking the left lane. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Your home should be your sanctuary. There's nothing worse than coming home at the end of a long day to disorganized chaos. Let Closets by Design step in. John Curley here for Closets by Design. They transformed our closets and garage into a perfectly organized space. If your closets are just busting at the seams, it's time to call in the pros at Closets by Design Seattle. The free in-home consult allows you to look at materials, colors, and finish options. They measure everything, and help you design the perfect system for your space, all for free. They do more than just closets, too. Garages, home offices, even laundry rooms. And right now, they're offering huge end-of-the-year savings up to 40% off, plus an additional 15% off and 18 months financing and free installation. Go to closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to schedule your free in-home design consultation today. That's closetsbydesign.com or 1-800-BY-DESIGN. Tell them Curly sent you.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know that hiking isn't for you. Sure, it sounds nice to be in nature while exercising, but that's what a gym and houseplants are for. I mean, you don't even like walking upstairs. So why would you walk up a hill for miles? To what, end up high in the air? Come on, you know you're scared of heights. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy plates, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
The 37th annual Holiday Magic was another one for the record books. Thanks to everyone who donated.
You always come through.
It's not too late to donate. Just go to mynorthwest.com/holidaymagic.
You're 62 or older, lots of equity in your home, and you want to pull some cash out, but a refinance or HELOC, well, it means a bigger payment. And the cost of selling your home, it's insane. So what should you do? Hey, Brock Hewitt here for Tila Mortgage. You don't need to live at a lower standard than you deserve. You really got 3 options. Number 1, sell your home. 2, get a HELOC or refinance. Or 3, get a reverse mortgage. Tila has done the analysis and believes that a reverse mortgage is the most cost-effective way for seniors to get cash out of their homes without selling and having the option of no monthly mortgage payment. Too good to be true? No. Call today and let's compare. Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a name you can trust for truthful, honest, and ethical advice for all your mortgage needs. Give them a call today. 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Insurance and property taxes are borrower's responsibility. Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
Clogged gutters? Not anymore. K-Guard by Guardian keeps leaves out, water flowing, and your home protected year-round. No maintenance, no rust, just lasting peace of mind. Guardian Roofing, the original Make Your Roof Last company. Visit guardianroofing.com.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Ready to kick off 2026 on a healthier path? Our New Year, New You event has everything you need, from saltwater hot tubs to rejuvenating saunas and cold plunges, or staying active with a swim spa. We've got the perfect way to help you feel your best. Enjoy special savings on our entire wellness lineup now through January 11th. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Start the new year taking active liver supplements from New Nordic. Online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. The White House says the U.S. military is always an option in Greenland as European leaders reject a U.S. takeover. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
The president is quite serious about his ambitions in Greenland, saying this afternoon that U.S. military action to take Greenland is not off the table, but that there are also discussions about possibly acquiring the territory that is part of the Kingdom of Denmark or setting up some kind of free association that would allow for much more U.S. involvement and presence there.
Greenland and Denmark are asking for a speedy meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Venezuelan officials say among the dead are at least 24 security personnel in the U.S. raid that captured Nicolas Maduro and his wife last weekend, and they've declared a week of mourning. This in addition to the 32 Cuban personnel that government said died as part of Maduro's security detail. CBS's Lilia Luciano is in Colombia at the border with Venezuela and says the situation remains tense.
The vast majority of people we've approached who are Venezuelan, and even including some who live here in Colombia that we see and we talk to coming out of Venezuela, do not want to speak at all about what is happening in Venezuela unless they are supporting the Maduro regime.
The Justice Department says the man who shot and killed 2 Brown University students and an MIT professor last month planned the attacks for months. They've been reviewing videos left behind confessing to the murders. CBS's Anna Schechter.
He did not give a specific motive, and the Department of Justice put out a release saying explicitly that their investigation into the motives behind his heinous acts will continue.
Today marks 5 years since the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. The riots led to the largest criminal prosecution in American history. But President Trump pardoned every single defendant on his first day in office. CBS's Scott McFarland reports.
CBS News has learned Senate Democrats have now formally proposed a bill to prevent any taxpayer-funded settlements with January 6 rioters who sue civilly. That sounds far-fetched. You should note that one of the estates for one of the rioters, Ashley Babbitt, who was shot and killed here by police as she breached the House Speaker's lobby, they sued civilly and they received a multi-million-dollar settlement from the Trump administration. There's a new legislation to stop that from happening again.
The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute has announced on social media the death of Michael Reagan, a conservative commentator and the eldest son of late President Ronald Reagan. He was 80 years old. His cause of death was not immediately announced. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Take the next step forward in your career with great benefits and an award-winning workplace. Apply at careers.progressive.com.
Coming up, a grim discovery at the state's largest psychiatric hospital. That's after Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
Thanks, Aaron. South 5, we got a couple issues all of a sudden through downtown Seattle. South 5 at the south end of the Ship Canal Bridge. Your right center lane is blocked due to a large pothole. IRT is on scene there. And then further south, a disabled vehicle blocks the right lane at the 4th Street off-ramp. That's just before the West Seattle Bridge. And we've got a solid backup starting near Ravenna Boulevard. Plan on 35 minutes between Linwood and Seattle. Seattle to Everett, Bellevue to Everett are both 50-minute commutes. North 5 is solid now from Mercer all the way to Linwood. 405 solid between Kirkland and Canyon Park. And again, as you approach that Alderwood interchange. Bellevue to Renton, 35 minutes. It's packed from 520 all the way to the Renton Landing. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway, 55 minutes, and it's solid from north to south. Gets really thick south of Highway 18. Seattle to Federal Way is a 45-minute drive. You're slow from Tukwila all the way into Federal Way to about South 288th before you start to get a break. And if you're heading up Snoqualmie Pass, eastbound 90 at milepost 47, we've got a collision involving a semi blocking that left lane. And by the way, oversized vehicles are prohibited over all of our open passes this afternoon due to heavy snow. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. A patient at Western State Hospital has been found dead on the hospital campus in Lakewood. Construction crews discovered that body yesterday at the site for a new hospital building. The Department of Social and Human Services says the patient had been missing since Sunday after he failed to return from an unsupervised outing on hospital grounds. Lakewood Police and the Pierce County Medical Examiner are investigating. This weekend marks the start of a big repair job on the Ship Canal Bridge. KIRO News Radio's James Lynch has more.
The Ship Canal Bridge along I-5 is the most heavily traveled bridge in Seattle, and this weekend brings a major disruption across the bridge, which will snarl traffic. Washington Transportation Secretary Julie Meredith.
We will fully close northbound I-5 this weekend from I-90 to Northeast 45th Street starting at midnight, January 9th, and reopening at 5 a.m., January 12th.
The closure will allow the setup of safe construction zones to protect workers for an extended restoration and 2 northbound lane closures through 2026. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Well, it is welcome weather for skiers and snowboarders as a winter storm is set to drop up to 4 feet of snow in the Cascades. KIRO News Radio meteorologist Ted Biener.
Well, we really need this snow at this point. Right now, here we are in early January. We're running between 45 to 60% of what we normally would have this time of year.
Some of that is due to a series of those warm atmospheric rivers that soaked the mountains with rain last month, melting the snow. City of Lakewood is celebrating a full year with no homicides in 2025.
I'm Jillian Raftery. Crime was down in almost every category, including a 25% drop in aggravated assault and a 50% drop in sexual assault. Police leadership believes strategic changes like new technology, full-time patrols in the business district, and strong community partnerships allowed officers to be more proactive and intervene before some crimes escalated.
And now for your weather update. We are going to see the rain taper to showers, wind gusts starting to subside in the evening. Heavy mountain snow, though, does continue into tonight. Right now, 45 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. This is the John Curley Show on KIRO News Radio.
Greg Tomlin and Mike Lewis in for John Curley, first-time guest hosting in 2026. Mike, did you get everything and more that you wanted for Christmas this year?
Yeah, I didn't want anything. I didn't get anything.
So mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
All right.
You've been very politely asking, I think, everyone in the newsroom, Greg. Do you want us to ask you back if you got everything?
Thank you. It's about time. I got I don't even remember what I got.
Oh, look, you should have been prepared for this answer.
This is how amazing, incredible, spiritual, and profound Christmas is when you're 43 years old. I asked my mom for an external hard drive, and I got it. By God, I got it. So kids' Christmas wishes do come true. It's 22 terabytes, though.
I asked my mom for an external hard drive.
22 terabytes?
22. I do a lot of video editing.
That is huge.
I was running out of space.
None of your business, Jacob. None of your
What are you
business.
going to park in that hard drive? That's none of your beeswax.
Never ask a woman her age or what,
or what a man
what Mike's going to use his hard drive for.
This could go one of many different directions here, but let's keep it above board. My goodness, Mike, there's no seamless way to transition here and pivot into our next topic. But with what's been going on in Venezuela, it's been top of mind for me, American foreign policy. And yeah, it's the number one job of the commander-in-chief, which is to keep the American people safe and kind of work on relationships with our allies and adversaries. So this is job number one for President Trump, whoever's in office. And it was a bit shocking, I think it's safe to say, to see the ouster of Nicolas Maduro just within the past couple days. Now, with all these attacks and strikes on these drug boats in the Caribbean, I think we all sensed that the Trump administration was building towards something bigger that was going to take place. They didn't tip over all their cards, ultimately, for understandable reasons. And in the dark of night, a bunch of helicopters flew into the country of Venezuela, extracted Maduro and his wife, I believe. And now the question on the table is the move justified? Is it constitutional? Should Congress have a say in this? And furthermore, what comes next in Venezuela that had a pretty close partnership with some of our main adversaries, China and Russia? Another question is, what is the Monroe Doctrine and what is the Donroe Doctrine? Mike, I've been sort of just on an information-seeking level right now, trying to formulate a definitive opinion, but I'm not there yet. I know it's all the rage to form an opinion with certainty right away, and it doesn't matter who's right, it matters who's first. But I've been taking a sit back and wait posture and just kind of listening, studying history, looking at the Constitution and the executive branch and how it's supposed to be functioning in relation to the other branches of government right now, trying to form a coherent take on this. But I have to admit to you, I'm not quite there yet.
When you've gone back and looked at history, what portion of that history makes you feel like this was good idea?
Well, this is not an original thought to me, but it's a weird coincidence that over the summer I listened to the audiobook of Bill Barr, who was Attorney General during the first term of Trump. And the book is called, I think, One Damn Thing After the Next or something. And it's his memoirs. And he was Assistant Attorney General in 1989 when George H.W. Bush went into Panama and extracted Manuel Noriega, who was the president, I believe, of Panama. But he really kind of took over after a former dictator died, and then I think there was a military coup. It's complicated, right?
Former dictator, man last name Trujillo. Here we
go. I'm about to get an education.
Well, no. I mean, Noriega was largely assumed to have, so he died in a plane crash. He didn't really plane.
That's right.
He died in a plane explosion. And that plane was just fine prior to the explosion. Noriega was largely thought of as the person who engineered this explosion so he could then take over.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, sorry again. I do know a lot about this one, and mainly I know a lot about this because my mom's Panamanian. And,
no kidding.
And we were on the phone with our family when they were we were on the phone with our families when the whole invasion happened. Yeah, I mean, It was not far from where they live. I mean, I only have one direct relative left. I've got some cousins down there, but my uncle Pepe is 95, and he was in the house with like the one handgun they could, because they were worried about it. And they weren't worried about the Americans. I mean, the Noriega Panama thing is so.
Do you think it's relevant? You think it's apples and oranges?
Well, because Panama wouldn't exist as a country, independent country. Panama was a part of Colombia in the early part of the 20th century. Panama, once the United States explained to the Panamanians a couple of things. We need a canal, And the second thing was, and you should get independent from Colombia because Colombia wasn't playing ball on doing the canal there.
Thank you, Theodore Roosevelt. Am I right?
Then Theodore Roosevelt parked a bunch of battleships and the Panamanians liberated themselves. And subsequently have formed a national identity independent of Colombia. And in fact, Panama has never completed the Trans-American Highway through the Darien Gap into Colombia because they feel like most of their problem, their social ills, the way people in the United States blame whichever immigrant group, the Panamanians blame Colombians. So you've got a situation. But remember, as a result of us doing that, we effectively owned and ran the center 10 miles, 5 miles on either side of the canal, for decades. And it was filled with the whole reason that you have half Panamanians all over this country, myself included, is because of we had 250,000 Americans in that, mostly military, in the canal zone. That's where John McCain was born. I mean, so you had a massive American presence there. Now, this was in the process of remanding the canal back over to Panamanian control. In 89, it already had been done by the Carter administration, but that took years in the making, the same way it did with Hong Kong and China and Great Britain. So we had 27,000 troops on the ground when this happened. We had also George H.W., who was a believer in sort of the process of government. Congress knew. Like, there was a whole bunch of things that actually happened in addition to Noriega holding up in the Vatican's embassy there until we played music so loud and so long that we drove him out of the country.
Well, and Noriega had declared a state of war between Panama and the United States, and then there was a Marine killed in Panama.
Remember, we have to declare a state of war too. I mean, that doesn't matter what anyone else has declared. It kind of matters what we have declared as far as our own governmental operations go. I mean, that's the whole business of going to Congress. And so the way things happened there were very different.
Well, let's talk about some of the similarities.
And the weird thing is that the similarities would be that we went into another country,
extracted
and plucked a leader.
And on drug charges, and he spent the rest of his life in prison and died in prison. Do you think the Trump administration is hoping for a similar outcome with Nicolas Maduro here? Because he's probably going to go on trial, right? We have a team of lawyers, and we're hoping to get him on drug conviction charges, I guess, here. And then
it's going to be a little less. So the reason the Noriega thing was more effective prosecution because we actually used him. The CIA used him for years as an informant on a variety of the Medellin cartel, the variety of the Pablo Escobar.
But he got worse and worse.
They used him for that, and Panama, through the process, kind of set itself up as essentially the laundry machine for drug money in Central and South America. I mean, and it still kind of functions a lot like that. Its banking rules. It's kind of a mini Switzerland of Central and South America. So you had a situation where we had been dealing with him and had we had so much more personal information about that because he was directly a U.S. informant until he was not playing ball the way we wanted to. And he played both sides of the table very effectively for quite a few years.
Yeah.
The Maduro relationship has always been a much different thing and much more fraught and not as it was never collegial. And it never got to that point. But the fact is, what's the big difference? Is Maduro sitting on a Saudi Arabian-sized pot of oil.
And gold, right?
And the gold is less important than the oil by far. I mean, it's
natural resource rich.
It literally is as much oil as Saudi Arabia. In fact, probably more at this point, they think. And so do I think that makes you a leader more likely to be toppled than one who's just an irritant, even an irritant with a canal? Oh, yeah. I mean, this is something that they were targeting, and they were going to find something to get him for, and they did.
I'm interested in what listeners think. 888-973-5476. Is this with even in your sight of concern right now as an American? Are you more worried about, putting bread on the table and the economy and inflation and my job? Where does this register for you? Believe it or not, it will have an impact on the economy depending on whichever way this goes here. What's fascinating is that it's Maduro's vice president who is interim president right now. And so there are still people that were faithful to the Maduro regime that are still in place. It was kind of just the head of the snake that was cut off here, but the body remains.
Which tells you a lot about the motivation, right? I mean,
maybe
if one of the reasons cited was stealing the election. I mean, elections are stolen all over the planet. which, no, zero question.
Opposition leader won probably 70% of the vote.
That's the guess. But if we were really concerned about that, what would we be doing now?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? What would be?
If we were really concerned about the election being stolen, what would we be doing now?
I see. We'd be putting the person in power who won the election.
Imagine that.
But that would probably cause a bloody internal conflict. So right now, what I think
we're not worried about bloody internal conflict. So here's what we're worried about is what she has said. What she said she was going to do was what?
Be a closer ally to the U.S. Where are you going with this?
No. Well, I'm going where it was going.
Yeah.
What did the opposition leader say that she was going to do when she was running her campaign prior to this whole thing happening?
Was it put Maduro on trial or something?
No.
Reveal the big upshot.
Nationalize what? Oil. There you go. So this is what she said. So we're not terribly concerned about the election or any protests therein. We're concerned about oil. Full stop.
Well, we're concerned that the Russians and the Chinese have too much of the oil.
Whatever. We're concerned about oil. I mean, that's not a not concern about oil. You get my drift? I mean, so the point is, she had said she wanted to nationalize oil. When we did the same toppling of a government in Iran in the 1950s, it was because the leader there had nationalized the Anglo-Allied Oil Company, or whatever it was called. The Brits ran it, essentially the predecessor to BP. We did that there, and that's not argued. I mean, everyone knows the history of that. It's widely acknowledged on all sides. We toppled a guy named Mossadegh, and we put in the Shah of Iran, which later turned out to be a bad idea, like 30 years later. The point being this. It started off as about oil. It was never about drugs. It is now about oil, and it's going to be about oil. This is what we're doing, and the reason we put in the second in command of the guy we say is a despot. This person was there for all of that despotic activity. Mm-hmm. The reason we put that person in place is they are willing to play with what product? Oil. And Chevron, remember, Chevron is like first.
They're already there, right?
They never left. They are first. No corporation in America is happier about this development than Chevron.
So is your argument that Trump has ousted Maduro for sinister purposes to enrich his oil buddies? Or do you think there is a legitimate conversation to be had about the growing influence of our adversaries in dysfunctional countries in South America that was having deleterious effects to the homeland of the United States of America? And Trump has come kind of full circle on the Monroe Doctrine, saying, hey, this is our hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere, and the less we pay attention to our neighbors in South America and let Russia and China and Iran have a stronghold there, the worse off it is for us. So we need to assert a little more power and a little more influence and not abdicate kind of what our influence used to be. Even though John Kerry once upon a time said the Monroe Doctrine is dead, I think a lot of people can make a strong case that a lot of problems that have come home to roost for the U.S. is because we kind of withdrew so much of American influence from that part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, so then you're
immigration.
You're going to have to recast one of the load-bearing pillars of the MAGA movement, right? To do this, because it's a very inward-looking America First movement. Like, we need to worry about things here. We don't want to worry about things. We don't want overseas wars. I mean, that was said time and time again. So
no
to do
endless
this,
regime change wars.
To do this means you have to sort of recast what you think American government should be if you are a MAGA adherent, because that has been a plank in the platform since the very beginning. So if you are willing to do that, should we be out there creating like leaders that we want? Well, we have a long history. It's not like we haven't. Regardless of who the president has been, we have the United States has an incredibly long history going back to the 1930s of regime toppling. We've done it all through South America. We've done it in the Arab world. We have done it everywhere we have felt it was necessary. And I'm not advocating for it at all. I understand that there are times that countries, are going to put their own interests first. What I'm saying is, this is nothing new, what is happening down there. Should we have done this particular thing? My argument would be we probably shouldn't, because inevitably every time we've done it before, there has been a domino tipped that we did not recognize at that time. The Shah of Iran would be a great example, because you know what led to the Islamic Revolution, which we are still dealing with now?
Yeah, we are.
The Shah.
I think case...
I mean, there's not a single historian who disagrees with that point.
I think a case can be made that Iraq is better off today than it was under Saddam Hussein. They have some semblance of a parliamentary democracy right now. Do you think Panama would be better off had Manuel Noriega continued his evil dictatorship and of oppression and repression and violence against any opposition? We have a relatively decent relationship with Panama right now. Afghanistan was an abject failure, I think, after 20 years invested in there. But a point that I did hear made about South America, in particular Venezuela, is before Hugo Chavez, there was sort of a free market democracy that was going on. So that those ideas aren't anathema to the people of Venezuela.
Well,
so I think
I didn't say that.
I'm not contradicting you. I'm just making a broader point.
No, I get
which
that.
is I'm saying I think there is more hope for the future of Venezuela because it's not a distant memory, a time before dictators Chavez and Maduro that those people can return to. Whereas if you're kind of nation building in the Middle East, where these ideas are completely foreign and outrageous.
I think the problem with nation building is this. The nations don't stay static. When we build something, we're not there maintaining it and things change. And then what would you have to do? Tear that down. And that's where we want to put our time and energy because remember how ridiculously expensive and dangerous this is. Once you engage in this process, you set things in motion that you cannot control. I mean, that's been the history of it. From Chile, from the Dominican Republic. Like, we've set this stuff in motion. I'm not suggesting, understand that's part of foreign policy, but understand that we don't know where it's headed when we start.
I agree, but I will just finish with this saying there have been some success stories and there's also been some unmitigated disasters when we've exercised this kind of foreign policy. Greg Tallman and Mike Lewis in for the John Curley Show. Lots more coming up on a busy day. Let's send it on over to the real-time traffic desk and Nate Connors.
All right, we're starting to improve a little bit here in Seattle. South 5 at the south end of the Ship Canal Bridge. However, that right center lane is still blocked due to this large pothole. I'm going to guess this is going to be with us through the evening commute. We cleared our stall, though, near the West Seattle Bridge, so we're left with a pretty thick backup from the U District still down to the West Seattle Bridge. Linwood to Seattle has improved a bit to a half-hour commute. Our lake bridges are still looking good. Seattle to Everett and Bellevue to Everett plan on 50 minutes. Bellevue to Renton's at a half hour. It's solid from 520 all the way to the Renton Landing. Renton to Puyallup, southbound 167's at 55 minutes, and we've got a solid backup from north all the way to the south, and it's extra heavy from south of Highway 18 into Puyallup. Tacoma to Olympia is up to 50 minutes, and we've got a crash in Parkland, southbound 7 at 121st Street. It's in your right lane, and that's got traffic backed up to State Route 512. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Hi, I'm Charlie Hart.
And I'm Amanda Factor.
Toppled by the U.S., Manuel Noriega and Nicolas Maduro.
Former State Attorney General Rob McKenna joins us to talk about how the two cases differ and what happens next for Maduro.
The snow continues to pile up in the mountains. We'll have the latest on the winter storm warning.
And, of course, Sully has traffic every 10 minutes.
Hope you can join us tomorrow, 5 to 9 on Seattle's Morning News.
On KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM and the KIRO Newsradio app.
Eric Johnson here. I spent the past 30 years working to help make our community better informed, better protected when it comes to consumer issues, and better equipped to take on whatever life throws at us. That's why I love the free Washington Accident book series from Davis Law Group. These books keep us better informed about the law, better able to protect ourselves on and off the road, and better off when all is said and done after an accident. Chris Davis didn't have to write these books. He did it because he saw a need. People who were in accidents or other legal situations didn't know what to do, what pictures to take, documents to request. Only a tiny fraction of the people who get these free books will ever become clients of Davis Law Group, but that's not the point. Chris wrote them because it was the right thing to do. The free Washington Accident book series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the road might throw at them. Get yours at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
I got to tell you something, Nick. I have really noticed a difference in your energy level since you started going to the Longevity Medical Clinic.
And you know why?
Why?
Because they actually balanced my hormone levels. And when they do that, the largest change I noticed was that now I could sleep.
And then not only get more sleep, to just get more energy, right?
Right. So that all of a sudden that resulted in me. I started running again and doing all these things that I felt so fatigued throughout the day that I couldn't do anymore.
Okay, so at this point, do you want to apologize to me? Because I was always saying to you, every time you say, I don't sleep, I don't feel well, I feel kind of off, I go, well, you need to get in touch with Longevity Medical Clinic. And you're always like, blah, 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 blah.
I know. But now it's turned into something fun that we get to go in together.
So I need to hear, you were right.
You were right.
You were right. I should have gone to Longevity Medical Clinic.
I should have.
There we go. Fine.
Yes.
You know the right thing to do. Get in touch with Longevity Medical Clinic. Take the free health analysis at lmclinic.com.
Give your attic an overhaul with new insulation from Guardian Roofing, Gutters, and Insulation. Stay cool all summer, slash utility bills, and boost your home's air quality. Call now and get $300 off attic ceiling and ventilation. Or visit us at guardianroofing.com.
Guys, if your energy is low, your strength isn't what it used to be, or your drive feels off, it's not just getting older. For many men, it's low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health Washington, you can start with a free T-check, exam, and consultation, so you get real answers about your testosterone levels and overall health. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off testosterone replacement therapy. This isn't guesswork or one-size-fits-all treatment. Revive specializes in personalized, closely monitored testosterone care designed to help men feel stronger, sharper, and more like themselves again. With over 120,000 patients treated since 2011, Revive Men's Health is trusted for results, not hype. If you've been putting this off, now is the time to act. Claim your free T-check and consultation and see if you qualify for 25% off TRT. This month only. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply, must medically qualify.
How about a New Year's resolution where the commitment takes just one day and the results can last a lifetime? Address years of hair loss like I did with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment. Using your own natural hair, Advanced Hair can restore your bald spot, receding hairline, or thinning. All backed by Advanced Hair's guarantee. Celebrate the new year with a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
You're 62 or older, lots of equity in your home, and you want to pull some cash out, but a refinance or HELOC, well, it means a bigger payment. And the cost of selling your home, it's insane. So what should you do? Hey, Brock Hewitt here for Tila Mortgage. You don't need to live at a lower standard than you deserve. You really got three options. Number one, sell your home. Two, get a HELOC or refinance. Or three, get a reverse mortgage. Tila has done the analysis and believes that a reverse mortgage is the most cost-effective way for seniors to get cash out of their homes without selling and having the option of no monthly mortgage payment. Too good to be true? No. Call today and let's compare. Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a name you can trust for truthful, honest, and ethical advice for all your mortgage needs. Give them a call today. 206-766-8888. That's 206-766-8888 or
Insurance and property taxes are borrower's responsibility. Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. New details are coming out about the weekend operation by U.S. forces that led to the capture of Venezuela's president. CBS's Ed O'Keefe reports from the White House.
CBS News has learned that as the Maduros tried to escape into their safe room, Delta Force commandos threw stun grenades in their direction. Officials say they were bleeding when captured. Venezuelan authorities confirmed at least 24 of their officers were killed in the weekend raid, and the country's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, said today the Venezuelan government is in charge and no one else.
The Washington State Department of Commerce is correcting a major error in greenhouse gas data. Agency admits it mistakenly inflated numbers from 8 Climate Commitment Act rebate projects, saying they reduced emissions by 7.5 million tons. The actual number is 78,000 tons. The Washington Policy Center's Todd Myers tells KIRO News Radio's Jake and Spike he first found that mistake.
They screwed up the numbers. They made a gigantic math error, and they repeated that math error in their press release and their public statements.
Commerce Department calls it a data entry error, but says the mistake did not affect funding. A Kent man on the run for more than 2 years has finally been arrested. Here's KIRO News Radio's Frank Lindsay.
Police say back in November of 2023, the man pointed a loaded gun at employees of a Subway restaurant. Kent PD was called out there after reports of gunshots in the parking lot. After a 5-hour standoff, they arrested the man. Nobody got hurt. The man later posted bail, but never showed up to court. Well, last month, an officer on an unrelated call got a hit from a flock camera, which is an automated license plate reader, about the man's car. They were able to track him down at his house and arrest him in his driveway. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Seattle City Council has elected its new president.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Council President Joy Hollingsworth.
That is District 3 Council member Joy Hollingsworth. The fourth-generation Seattleite was born and raised in the Central Districts. At 4:33 now, we go to the real-time traffic desk, checking in with Nate Connors.
Thanks, Aaron. South 5 at the south end of the Ship Canal Bridge. That right center lane remains blocked due to a large pothole. IRTs are right there blocking this for us. Again, this will probably be with us through the end of the commute. And this is in the middle of a backup from the U District to the West Seattle Bridge. Plan on a half hour from Linwood into Seattle. Seattle to Everett and Bellevue to Everett are both up to 55-minute commutes. I-5 is solid from the Convention Center to Linwood. 405 solid between Kirkland and Canyon Park. You'll clear out right before you hit the Alderwood interchange. Bellevue to Renton has climbed to 40 minutes. It's solid from 520 to the Renton Landing. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway just hit 1 hour, and you're solid from north to south. Extra heavy south of Highway 18. Seattle to Federal Way's at 55 minutes. You're bumper to bumper from interurban down to State Route 516. And Tacoma to Olympia is up to 50 minutes. A little slowing as you head through Lakewood. 3 mile backup along JBLM, and more slowing heading into Olympia. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Forecast now is brought to you by KIRO News Radio. We are going to see the rain taper to showers tonight, wind gusts also subsiding, and heavy mountain snow will continue into tonight. Right now, 45 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Mike Lewis and Greg Tomlin here, filling in for John Curley. And
this hour brought to you by Bucky's Auto Service Center.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. So we're going to talk. Well, I don't know how to even bridge into this.
The power of preface, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know how to bridge into this. So we're going to either just do it. Let's just go blunt force. Let's not even bother with some sort of gentle segue. We were going to talk, and we probably still are going to talk about this push by the South Korean president to add baldness as a disease that will be covered under insurance rather than as the way it's treated in most places, which is as a cosmetic, voluntary, out-of-pocket sort of thing if you want to treat it or if you're just going to embrace it, as some of us have. But that leads to the talk of beauty, and that leads to the talk of what, Greg Tomlin?
Palletophobia, which is people who are scared of bald people. This was quite stunning in the stories from the Wall Street Journal last month. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung was at a televised policy meeting, and he raised this issue of how he believes hair loss is a disease and floated this notion of, can we have this treated in healthcare plans, which is kind of astounding to me when you take a step back and assess geopolitics right now and, threats from Russia and China and Iran and what's happening in Venezuela and South Korea. That is, what is it, the 39th parallel they have with North Korea? Yes. And one of their prime focuses is on this notion of baldness. Come to learn today that, and pardon my ignorance around this, I didn't know South Korea had a culture that was so fixated on these notions of beauty and appearance and your looks. And so it doesn't strain credulity to think that the leader of that country would make this as an emphasis and incorporate it with healthcare somehow. Do you know the background of why South Koreans are so obsessed with plastic surgery, with looks, with
the Wall Street,
eliminating baldness?
I'd read the statistics years ago on something else. Probably I was talking about here at KIRO on the percentage of people who choose elective plastic surgery in South Korea, which is unusually high among countries. In fact, I think the highest in the world for people who choose some cosmetic treatment to get to some sort of idealized beauty or as close as they can. I knew about that. The Wall Street Journal story today has actually added an interesting idea behind it that is probably related, although I don't know that there's been any specific studies in this, but that South Korea also is, weirdly enough, and I didn't know this until today, the least racially diverse country on earth. In other words,
a lot of hegemony.
There is a lot of homogeneity, and that is created this idea. And the funny thing is, Jacob and I were talking about this earlier. Like, if you look at the sameness in all the K-pop bands, if you look at like the idealized beauty in Korean advertisement, that's the funny thing. Like, we get so much more entertainment from other countries now, from all streaming services, from the Spotifys to the Netflix and whatnot. You're seeing much more of other countries and the way they see themselves. And it is true. Like I have friends who are sort of very focused on, say, skincare, right? And to a person, they talk about how in Korea, like it is to skincare what we used to be to technology. Like it's that sort of like level of expertise and competitiveness in that industry. And so maybe this baldness idea is sort of like it is one of many ideas that seem to be in Korea about a very specific form of beauty that is acceptable and will open up doors professionally and personally.
Yeah, and you mentioned professionally here. The article mentions this term lookism, which is the advantage afforded to the physically attractive. And this is a widely accepted concept in South Korea. Quote, your appearance is also a credential, is a common expression amongst the people. Now, to me, that seems rather superficial, but I think whether we like to admit it or not, that probably plays a role everywhere, not just in South Korea.
It absolutely plays. I mean, some places it's more brazen than others. I mean, in New York City, it used to be very, very common. If you were going for a service industry job, a waiter or bartender job in like mid-range to nicer places, when you sent in your resume, you sent in a glossy every time. That is not made up. That was widely accepted practice. It probably still is in some way. At the very least, they're going to look you up on social media, so maybe it's not necessary anymore. But that's what you did because people would, especially in the high-end restaurants, they wanted their wait staff to be beautiful. They wanted them to be good, but they also wanted them to be good and beautiful.
What's wild to me is a story like this highlights the fact that this is a uniquely 2025 news story. Because the amount of privilege you have to have across the board as a country to have your president note baldness as one of his main concerns in regards to incorporating it in healthcare coverage says to me, like, we've come a very long way, and it's a first world problem by definition almost to make this, like, we have it pretty dang good in this day and age.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it, but it is also somewhat of a shame because for all the people who benefit from it, there's so many people who don't. I mean, if you are a person who is, and I think anybody who has been on television news could tell you about this. Like if you are...
Hey, you're on live stream right now, Mike.
If you are on...
Don't look.
My guess is most people choose not to look my direction.
Your bald shelf is shining rather gloriously.
I think that people... who are... I mean, remember there was a great... Did you ever watch 30 Rock?
Oh, yeah, I watched 30
We were
Rock.
talking again, I think, about 30 Rock earlier. Of course, everyone remembers the great episodes with John Hamm when he was the guy in Mad Men, the actor in Mad Men, when he was Liz Lemon's boyfriend, and he was ridiculous. He's a handsome guy, and he would offer people advice. Like I think at one point he was coaching someone in tennis, and he didn't know how to play tennis, but because he was so good looking, everyone believed everything he said or found him very plausible because he was just unusually attractive. I think that you have that a lot with television news, for example. There is an emphasis on you looking the part, right? Looking the part while you deliver the news. I mean, network. What was it? What was the show Holly Hunter movie about? Someone can tell you on the text line 888-973-5476. with two competing anchors. One was sort
Broadcast News.
One
of the best movies of all time.
There you go. Yeah. So in broadcast news, that's exactly the premise. But he was better actually. Like he was more plausible on air as sort of this guy who didn't really know much, but he certainly presented the news very well. And I think that what we're talking about here in Korea is you would feel like at some point society moves beyond that. And I think that there's a lot more opportunity now for people who don't, given that so much work is remote, and hopefully it won't really matter in some fields what you look like. But it clearly is still it still is a load-bearing pillar in some industries, and it's a shame.
Here's a dynamic that I want to posit that I think is happening in South Korea too, and I've talked about this concept before, but it's the Tocqueville effect. And Alexis de Tocqueville said basically the appetite grows by what it feeds on. Mm-hmm. And so as society improves and social conditions improve, rising expectations lead to increased frustration and social unrest rather than contentment. So we mentioned in South Korea where they have this emphasis on appearance and uniformity in appearance and good looks. So the more the population gets better and better looking, the more the frustrations go with any appearance outside of this expected norm of beauty and looking a certain way, like the K-pop way. The more you get enraged by even the slightest difference, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Greg Tallman and Mike Lewis in on the John Curley Show. What do you think? Send us your text messages at 888-973-5476. We might read some of them towards the end of the show. Today, let's send it on over to Nate Connors at the Real-Time Traffic Desk.
Thank you, sir. South 5 at the south end of the Ship Canal Bridge. Right center lane is blocked due to a large pothole. IRT is on scene. It's going to take you a half hour right now, Linwood to Seattle. Seattle to Everett and Bellevue to Everett are keeping up with each other, both at 55 minutes. Bellevue to Renton, a 35-minute drive, and it's packed now from 520 all the way to the VMAC. That is a slow roll. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeways, 1 hour. You're solid basically from north to south, maybe a little break here and there. Seattle to Federal Way, 55 minutes. It's bumper to bumper from Interurban Avenue down to 516. Tacoma to Olympia at 50 minutes. Got a little slowing through Lakewood, about a 3 to 4 mile thick backup there in JBLM, and then some more slowing as you head into Olympia. Everett to Marysville, taking 10 to 15 minutes. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
After voters made it clear they want change.
That I will faithfully conduct myself as the mayor of the city of Seattle.
What should Seattle residents expect from Mayor Katie Wilson?
She talked a lot about our affordability crisis.
Northwest News voices you depend on.
It's a misdiagnosis of the problem. You believe government can solve this problem.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. The KIRO News Radio app with opinion and analysis at mynorthwest.com.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Ready to kick off 2026 on a healthier path? Our New Year, New You event has everything you need, from saltwater hot tubs to rejuvenating saunas and cold plunges, or staying active with a swim spa. We've got the perfect way to help you feel your best. Enjoy special savings on our entire wellness lineup now through January 11th. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Your home should be your sanctuary. There's nothing worse than coming home at the end of a long day to disorganized chaos. Let Closets by Design step in. John Curley here for Closets by Design. They transformed our closets and garage into a perfectly organized space. If your closets are just busting at the seams, it's time to call in the pros at Closets by Design Seattle. The free in-home consult allows you to look at materials, colors, and finish options. They measure everything, and help you design the perfect system for your space, all for free. They do more than just closets, too. Garages, home offices, even laundry rooms. And right now, they're offering huge end-of-the-year savings up to 40% off, plus an additional 15% off and 18 months financing and free installation. Go to closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to schedule your free in-home design consultation today. That's closetsbydesign.com or 1-800-BY-DESIGN. Tell them Curly sent you.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. weekdays.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found GoodRx. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's GoodRx, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know you can't cook. You're not one of those people who say that they can, but when people come over for dinner, they find out the hard way, you can't. You can't even microwave popcorn, and that's literally just one button. Plus, measuring and patience are huge parts of cooking, and that's just not you. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. Last year, the big news, obviously, was the accomplishment of the big, beautiful bill, but that also comes with some big, beautiful changes to the IRS.
There are some big, beautiful changes going on, and so many of those changes in the big, beautiful bill impact 2025. There's definitely some big spiffs in there for the ordinary working person. One thing that I'm really disappointed in is the way that things have been communicated in regards to the Social Security. It is still going to be taxed. It's not like it's not going to be taxed, but it will be, for most people, a reduction in the amount of tax.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Best Mortgage, the VA loan and reverse mortgage experts, are proud to partner with KIRO Radio for over 20 years. Get a no-pressure consultation from a real person, never an AI bot. Web search Best Mortgage for honest advice you can trust.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Mike Lewis here. Greg Tomlin. Greg, what is your favorite kind of pizza?
I love a good margarita, but also my pizza that I love most growing up is probably just a good old-fashioned sausage pepperoni. I don't get too adventurous. The olives and the mushrooms, get them out of my grill.
Wait. Oh, sorry, Jacob. I'm actually not going to let you talk about that. So have we just said that olives and mushrooms are adventurous?
For me, very adventurous.
Wow. All right. Hey, so how adventurous are you with your pizza, Jacob?
Oh, not particularly.
You go crazy with onions?
He looks like a plain cheese kind of guy.
Do you know what? I have this friend who was he's so intense about his pizza. He tells different places how long to bake the pizza, which is
nice.
That's next level.
You can apparently at Pagliacci's ask for
well done.
overbaked. Yeah, well done pizza. I had no idea that was a. Can you do underdone?
Crispalicious.
I don't think that they should let you.
That's a health hazard potentially.
Yeah, so I certainly have less intense pizza opinions as my friend Jackson.
Do you? Well, all right. So as less intense, you actually have a pizza opinion?
Yeah. I mean,
do you like pizza?
Yes, I do. Lately, we're close to Stevie's on Beacon Hill.
Stevie's famous,
which is
went to high school with one of the owners of Stevie's Famous.
Yeah.
I've not yet gotten a discount, but I hear it's delicious.
Their normie, which is like Copa and burrata, is good to me
right now. Everyone's just ordering pizza, I'm sure, because it made me start thinking about it. So it turns out, once again, the Wall Street Journal comes to the rescue. It turns out
for show prep,
that America, according to the Wall Street Journal, and I'm not sure the story totally comes true on this. Thank you. I don't even know why we refer to pizza as Italian anymore, for that matter.
That's amore.
It's just everywhere on the planet. There is no place that doesn't have some version of a pizza. But nonetheless, that America's falling out of love with pizza, that pizza sales are relatively flat. And that Americans appear to, like, there is not that same expansion of the pizza-scape as there once was. You ever read any Neil Stephenson? Anyone out there ever read any Neil Stephenson? So he's a local author, become kind of famous he's been a best-selling author, sort of what they refer to as speculative fiction. And early on, he was more probably characterized as science fiction, but he had one, the plot line is different than what I'm saying. Rather, the plot line is different than what I'm referencing, but one of the things that had happened in the United States over the course of a big decline in everything that we do in the United States was the one thing we were still better at than anyone on the planet was getting a pizza anywhere in 20 minutes. And but I mean, our obsession with pizza, I feel like if we're slowing down the pizza train, maybe not a bad thing. I mean, I don't feel like there's any lack of available pizza in my life at any moment that I want some.
Mike, you're feeling saucy today.
Oh, see, the pizza puns.
I blame my obsession with a pizza with the Ninja Turtles. I was like 9 years old.
Oh, really?
During the pinnacle of the Ninja Turtles' career. And Michelangelo and the gang were so obsessed.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've fully ever gotten over it. But look, this is an exercise in the free market here. There's just so much more competition, which I think has led to stagnation in sales or even a decline because we can order out so many things.
And not only that, you know what's really been the most dramatic change in pizza in the United States by far? Quality frozen pizza.
I was going to say that too.
There are so many ridiculously good frozen pizzas at this particular point. I mean, when I was young, it was like Totino's, which was essentially toast with pizza sauce, right? And now,
I love Totino's.
I do it 2 a.m. I don't really.
Technically, it is food, right? Technically, it is food.
I'm not certain it doesn't kill you immediately.
It's a low bar,
but the quality of frozen pizza now is really pretty exciting, and the variety.
Jake, best frozen pizza all time?
Oh gosh, Wild Mike's.
You lost your chance, Andrew.
I said
no. Wild Mike's. Okay.
Oh no, I don't eat much frozen pizza. I don't have an opinion.
I got to go with the Red Baron. A little well done.
Okay.
I want it like cardboard. I want it like crispy, crunchy, like hurts your teeth to bite into it. Mike,
Red Baron is really Red Baron.
Put it on the lowest shelf of the oven.
You were prepared to go.
And you know what I do to make it refined? This is the portly gentleman talking. I rip up a little string cheese and add it to the top, and it gives it that je ne sais quoi that like it's hard to define. It's like Winnie the Pooh when he's in a tuxedo.
Nate, I think we're gonna need you to bail us out of this conversation here.
I'm here for you. All right, tell you what, let's check out our passes since we've got heavy snow all afternoon in the mountains. Let's take a check at them passes right now. Stevens, chains are required on all vehicles except all-wheel drive. Snoqualmie eastbound is temporarily closed due to multiple spin-outs and crashes. And right now, there's no estimated time to open eastbound 90 over the pass. Westbound is open, but chains are required, again, except for all-wheel drive. Blue and white passes, traction tires required, chains on 10,000 gross vehicle weight and over, and then oversized vehicles prohibited across all of our passes. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
And so we are set.
The road to the Super Bowl runs through Seattle.
Seattle is going to win this football game. A single-season franchise record of 14 wins. The 4th #1 seed in franchise history.
Reaction.
Just incredibly proud of him.
Conversation.
The road to the Super Bowl runs through Seattle.
Complete coverage at mynorthwest.com and the home of the Seahawks. KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM and the KIRO News Radio app.
At Guardian Roofing, Gutters, and Insulation, we know the key to a long-lasting roof is yearly maintenance. Need an inspection, repair, restoration, moss removal, or just a cleanup? You can trust Guardian's licensed, insured, and expertly trained team. We offer free estimates, second opinions, and financing, giving you the peace of mind your home deserves. Call today. Our first-time customers can save $99 on our award-winning roof repair and cleaning service. Visit us at guardianroofing.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away.
Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Amy Cox did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. And with that money, she decided to treat herself to an anti-aging red light mask. Will she look like a horror movie villain every night? Yes. Will her boyfriend Kevin be scarred for life? That's certainly a risk. But it's Amy's savings, and if she's willing to risk her relationship for smooth, wrinkle-free skin, well, bye-bye, Kevin. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 2/22/26, new customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Guys, low energy, low drive, or strength not what it used to be? For many men, it's low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health Washington, start with a free T-check exam and consultation to get real answers. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off testosterone replacement therapy. Call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply. Must medically qualify.
Compassion, communication, results. That's Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to PendergastLaw.com. That's PendergastLaw.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump sets his sights on Venezuelan oil after the U.S. capture of former President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Trump says on social media that interim authorities in Venezuela will be selling 30 million to 50 million barrels of high-quality oil to the U.S. at its market price. CBS's Nancy Cordes reports.
He argues it will bring oil prices down eventually, which means cheaper energy for the American public. The challenge is that all of this is a long way off. Industry experts say that it will cost billions of dollars to be in a position to gain access to Venezuela's oil reserves.
There are questions and concerns about the Trump administration's plans for Venezuela and the president's threat towards a different country now, Greenland, a NATO ally. CBS's Ed O'Keefe with a comment from White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller.
The White House is doubling down on President Trump's pursuit of Greenland, saying that utilizing the U.S. military is always an option.
The United States should have Greenland as part of the United States.
There's an American military base with approximately 150 troops on the island, a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark, which is a NATO partner. European leaders today slammed the idea of a takeover, saying Greenland belongs to its people.
The FBI has been going through videos left behind by the man who killed 2 Brown University students and an MIT professor. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
In the videos, the Portuguese national and former Brown University student said he'd been planning the attack for at least 6 semesters, but he didn't provide a motive or express remorse. He said he had nothing to apologize for, and he said he wanted to leave on his own terms. He was found dead in a New Hampshire storage facility where a series of short videos was discovered on an electronic device.
The war in Gaza is not over for the children. Cambridge University researchers say almost all of Gaza's schools have been destroyed or are being repurposed as shelters, and many kids are in no state to attend school if they could. Co-author Professor Pauline Rose.
No children have been able to go to school in a normal sense, and the numbers that have also now been suffering from being malnourished has been increasing.
A Bureau of Prison spokesperson tells CBS News that Aldrich Ames, a counterintelligence officer for the CIA, who spied for the Soviet Union and later Russia, has died in a Maryland federal prison. He was 84. The 31-year veteran of the CIA is believed to have compromised more than 100 intelligence operations and sent a number of Soviet agents to their deaths or prison as he traded information for large sums of money that funded his lavish lifestyle. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Fresh powder in the mountains, also making for difficult driving conditions tonight. Let's go now to Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
All right, Aaron, we're all clear. South 5 on the Ship Canal Bridge. IRT had a lane blocked for about an hour while crews patched up a pothole. You're dealing with a backup from 85th to the West Seattle Bridge still. Linwood to Seattle, 35 minutes. Bellevue to Everett is climbing an hour 5, where it's northbound 405 is packed through Kirkland. But you'll clear at about 85th, and then you're clear until you hit Bothell and Canyon Park, where it's just minor slowing there. Seattle to Everett down to 50 minutes. You're slow from the U District into Linwood. North 5 heavy from the Michigan Curve in the downtown. Bellevue to Renton's at 35 minutes. It's packed from 520 to the VMAC. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway. Still about 1 hour. We've still got a solid backup basically from north to the south end. Seattle to Federal Way, 50 minutes. It's heavy from Tukwila down past 516. Tacoma to Olympia is a 50-minute trip. Got a little slowing into Lakewood, 3 to 4 mile backup in JBLM. More slowing heading into Olympia. KIRO News Radio real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good evening, I'm Aaron Granillo. After a slow start to the season, the Summit at Snoqualmie looking forward to feet of fresh powder. Guy Lawrence is president and GM.
We'll take it because, yes, we could do a lot more snow. We're still trying to get more terrain and lifts open. And the forecast looks very positive. So he's hoping most of that is correct.
KIRO 7 TV meteorologist Morgan Palmer says the peak of the weather system is moving through the mountains at this hour.
Things are going to continue to be very snowy in the mountains until, say, 9 to 11 tonight. Then we go to pockets of heavy snow in the mountains, pockets of rain in the lowlands.
A few areas here could even see some wet snow tomorrow morning. Grim discovery at Western State Hospital in Lakewood, where a construction crew found a body yesterday at the site of a new hospital building. The Department of Social and Human Services says it was a patient who was reported missing on Sunday. DSHS says that person never returned from a court-approved outing on hospital grounds. Lakewood Police and the Pierce County Medical Examiner are investigating. You will not be able to head north on the Ship Canal Bridge this weekend. I-5 northbound is closing from I-90 to Northeast 45th Streets. Transportation Secretary Julie Meredith says the closure starts at midnight on Friday.
The last major efforts to maintain and preserve this bridge happened decades ago. We've seen over 200 emergency repairs since 2019.
Crews are using this weekend to prep a work zone. Come Monday, the 2 left lanes of the Ship Canal Bridge northbound will be closed all day. This will last for 5 months. Seattle Seahawks may need a new offensive coordinator next season. Clint Kubiak has now emerged as a top candidate for NFL head coaching jobs. Sports Illustrated reports at least 4 teams have requested interviews with Kubiak. They include the Las Vegas Raiders, who just fired former Hawks coach Pete Carroll yesterday. Weather now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. We are going to see rain tapering to showers, wind gusts subsiding into the evening, and again, heavy mountain snow continuing for tonight. Right now, 45 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. This is the John Curley Show on KIRO News Radio.
Greg Tallman and Mike Lewis in on the John Curley Show. Thank you for that news update, Aaron Granillo. I dare you to say feet of fresh powder 3 times quickly. I'll give you $1.
Actually?
Yeah, feet of fresh powder.
Feet of fresh powder, feet of fresh powder, feet of fresh powder.
Survey says that he did it properly. I don't know.
Come on.
But I say I'd give it to him. I mean, it's only $1.
That's a good point.
I don't need it, Greg. You're good. I just like the challenge.
Exactly right. I knew you did. I'm excited for the snow falling in the mountains at high elevation, at high altitudes. Isn't that, what's that line from Bill Murray, Groundhog Day? I just want to live up in high altitudes and he's quoting French poetry. Neither here nor there, but off air, Mike and I were talking about the Golden Globes, which are coming up this Sunday, and speaking a little bit about some of the films we had seen, and we're both cinephiles, so getting us off track. But do you watch the awards ceremonies, by the way, Mike?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. I like knowing what is won, and will it dictate what I rent the following year or the following months? Yeah, 100%. I mean, absolutely.
It will. Okay.
Absolutely it will. Sure. I mean, I look at a lot of different sources, but it will actually help sort of, point me in the right direction.
But you don't get into the pomp and circumstance, or is it more? Are you more principled? Like, I don't think we should be giving awards for art.
No. I think that the stuff is great and it helps make people's careers. And I think that I'm happy that they exist. It's just not that interesting. Watching a movie is super interesting to me. Watching people talk about movies is a little less interesting to me. And so I have a stake in what wins, because I mean, sometimes I'm surprised.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I'm not an awards. Are you?
Do I watch the show?
Yeah.
My wife and I sort of have a tradition. We print out the brackets for the Golden Globes and for the Oscars, and then we wait for the inevitable political commentary from some people, and then I could talk about it on the air the next day, and then the winner of the bracket doesn't have to do dishes the next day or something like that. It's one of those classic husband and wife games. It's really exhilarating. I know I'm making it sounding hella boring, but it's actually a lot of fun. Okay.
Exhilarating, maybe.
Something that's not a lot of fun, being a small business owner and having your establishment broken into twice within a matter of days. So there's the Seattle shop owner that is scared that it's going to happen again. And the question to me when I read stories like this is, how anecdotal are these occurrences and how much do they reflect data? But I do think it is striking and quite notable, Mike, that this was a repeat occurrence at this shoe store near Pike Place Market. And what it says to me is it can be so frustrating to be a small business owner here in Seattle. Not only do you have to put up with the B&O taxes, state taxes, and then you have to deal with petty crime like this, and pretty soon you wake up and you're put out of business. But what is your takeaway from reading kind of the regular stories about break-ins and theft around the city? Do you try to draw bigger conclusions, or with what level of interest do you approach these stories?
I mean, I certainly feel, having been on the receiving end of stuff like that, I mean, I certainly feel it when it happens, and I know how frustrating it is. And I know how frustrating it is if it doesn't, you feel like anyone's had their house broken into, even their car broken into. It feels like you feel personally violated. You feel angry about the whole thing and wish I could have caught them sort of feelings, right? If you have a business and you have a business with a front sidewalk facing retail entrance, you're at risk. Any city, any amount of policing, you're at risk, right? And you're at risk for a break-in, and you try to do enough things to make a break-in survivable. It's very difficult to do enough to make a break-in entirely preventable. I mean, Seattle, there is less adoption of the pull-down grates that you see in New York City and that you see in Chicago, that you see to some degree in San Francisco and LA. You don't see that as much here, although some businesses are certainly utilizing them. I think that it probably will become more popular. But I think that it's also relatively low priority unless it becomes a notion that it is a trend or a chain or a long-running specific ties to a specific organization. I think that there is not a lot of, and I don't think that this is necessarily unfair, but there's not a lot of police priority put on nonviolent crimes. There just isn't. And I understand that, especially in a town where you're low on police. This is not me complaining about it. This is simply saying
reality.
that is just and it's a reality in every state. And it's been a reality forever. I mean, like, unless you're in a small enough town where nothing else happens, that level of retail crime is not a big priority anymore. And so you really have to do everything you can. But when I hear an owner, especially one, and this is what happens, what cops will tell you is that they break in. This is true with home residential burglaries. They break in and then they wait a month when they feel like, all right, I endured my break-in. I'm not going to have another. So maybe you get a little bit relaxed. And then they break in to steal the stuff you bought to replace what was stolen.
Oof.
And that happened to my sister, for example. And so you have to kind of be vigilant about it. But when I hear a business owner talk about it, man, I felt it. I hate it. And it's lousy. I hesitate to make it say some sort of larger thing about a city because this story wasn't about statistical evidence that it's a larger thing. It was much more about this is one business owner's lament about repeat crimes in that area, and it may well be sign of larger things. I don't know.
Well, here are some statistics, or at least a lead headline from Charlie Harger over at mynorthwest.com. Washington State does lead the nation in retail theft, but is Issaquah showing a formula for how to deal with it and diminish some of these numbers? So apparently, Charlie Harger is saying Issaquah can present itself as somewhat of a model for combating retail crimes. The city has its own jail. They run stings with loss prevention. They book you on the spot if you're caught, and suddenly all those outstanding warrants from Seattle, Tacoma, and Everett pop up in the system. Shoplifting in Issaquah dropped 15% last year, and he argues that it's not a coincidence here. I was at a Target just the other night with my 15-year-old daughter, and I don't know, I almost took it personal when she had to, call someone over to open up a glass encased door to get some face cream or something. And I thought, has this been a moral failing of my generation? Because I don't think, Mike, that human nature has changed that much. There's going to be good and bad people anywhere at any time in history, but it's how do we choose as a society to address it? And I just sort of felt disheartened and a little sad in the fact that, even we're 4 or 5 years removed from COVID, and still we have so many products behind glass doors in grocery stores.
Yeah, I think there has been a walking back of some of that, at least what I've seen. But I agree with you, and I agree that there should be repercussions for stealing. I mean, 100%. I don't steal, and I don't think other people should. And I understand if someone is desperate enough to do that. It's not that I want them to serve hard time and in prison. Do I think they should be arrested and thrown into jail? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer in that. I just know that the reality is that the petty crimes have been pushed aside for more serious crimes, and that tends to be what we're filling our jails with now more so. And that leads to our earlier discussion about personal drug use. Like, that is the type of thing that you used to maybe overnight in jail, or maybe even longer than that, depending on how much you were carrying. That doesn't happen as much anymore, and I think I think both things are a problem.
You said something there in that couple sentences you spoke that I want to pick up on and maybe challenge you on, or just make a note of it. You said if a person is desperate enough to do that. That to me is sort of kind of revealing on your ideology in terms of people that are committing these types of crimes. In other words, you kind of made a blanket statement of, if you're committing retail theft, you have to be at a level of desperation in order to go out and commit it. I would argue that that's not true in all cases, and maybe not even in most cases. But you're kind of saying implicit to this dynamic is the fact that the people that are committing crimes are driven to it. Do you disagree with my reading into that? But what did you mean by it?
Maybe not 100%, but probably 99%.
99% of people that commit crimes.
No. How much I disagree with you. I don't think that you're taking. Maybe I phrased things incorrectly. I think people who steal generally speaking, and I'm not excusing the stealing. And I think that's what you're implying, is that I'm somehow saying you hit this desperate place, so it's understandable that you steal. Is that the way you heard me?
It changes how you deal with a person like that if you're operating under the assumption that they must have fallen on hard times or there was something implicit in the system that led them to this. You will handle them differently.
None of that is what I said. None of that is what I said.
No, but I think it's implicit in what you said.
It's not even implicit in what I said. What I said is if someone steals, if someone walks into a store and steals as opposed to paying for something, I think that person, I think there's a level of desperation. I'm not saying desperation that is warranted. I'm not saying desperation that is necessarily justified. I'm certainly not saying desperation that means you shouldn't go to jail. What I'm saying is when someone breaks into a property and puts them because frequently if you're breaking into houses, you're putting yourself at risk. Now, given how well armed people are these days, like I think that thing is not. It's not somehow. It doesn't excuse the act, but I don't think that you break into a place without a level of desperation. I don't think you do. Sorry. I mean, and I'm not saying that the desperation means I think you're misunderstanding what I'm implying. I think you're seeing me as a guy more liberal than you. Correct on that point, 100%. But you're not hearing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I just think your mental state to go into a place and start stealing stuff like ridiculous things doesn't mean you're all like very well centered, because it's much easier to go into a place and buy something. Would you agree?
I would concur with that phrasing.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not well centered. I think the term desperation was doing a lot of heavy lifting. Our house was broken into about 12 years ago by 3 juveniles who were trying to steal TV, iPads, all our electronics. It just so happened that my wife was at home at the time, led to probably the scare of her life. We had a young baby in the house. She called the cops. She yelled, and the juveniles escaped, and the cops caught them further down the road. I don't think these 3 juveniles were desperate. I think they were getting their kicks off of getting something for nothing and breaking into our house.
Is this a distinction without a difference? If we both agree that those people should be arrested and serve time, then is there anything really different in what we're both saying?
I do think there is, and I hate to belabor this point, but I think it's really important.
But wait. I'm arguing you don't hate to belabor it, but go ahead.
Yes. You remember some might consider it the death knell to Bruce Mayor Harrell's campaign, but when he said in the debate, the last thing I want to do is arrest someone. He's like, I don't know their history. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know if they came from a broken home. And I'm butchering his statement a little bit. But what he was sort of saying is, I have sort of this compassion for people that enter the criminal justice system because implicit, they don't really have any other choice. And so the last thing I want to do is to come down with some big punitive result or consequence for them. And I really just kind of lead with compassion. And I think if we start talking about those who commit crimes in these terms, I think it has led to this kid gloves way of dealing with it, where we go, oh no, we really just need social programs and kindness and grace for these people that are just kind of wreaking havoc on retail shops, small businesses, and the like. And so I think the philosophy that you have in your approach dictates how you end up treating these people. And that's why I kind of like exploring or pinning down people on the root causes of these things a little more.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm not really quite following, but I get what you're saying about. I don't sure that has anything to do with Bruce. I really think Bruce Harrell ran a lousy campaign, and he lost by a pretty narrow margin, which shows that he just had. If he had just like hammered away on the stuff that he actually did well,
I shouldn't have said death knell in regards to that.
He would have been fine. But I think also that saying that you sympathize with people. I mean, the law even is written with understanding about, say, assault being not assault if it's self-defense. Like, there's a whole lot of things that are actually written into law with society understanding that not every crime is the same, right? And that judges have some latitude as far as sentences, as far determinate versus indeterminate sentencing is a notion that you can actually look at the circumstances that someone did something, and this is only, 100 years of U.S. history, that you should look at circumstances where someone commits a crime and understand that those circumstances might dictate how society should react to that crime. That is true from white-collar crime to petty crime to serious crime to violent crime. That assumption that we should look at the circumstances, that's baked into the system, man. I don't know what to tell you, but I think that language is there because it's actually baked into law.
See if we can squeeze in one more topic here before the break. We're not breaking any new ground here or breaking any major news, but there's a story up at GeekWire that talks about the addictive nature of smartphones and talks about how students interact with these glowing rectangles during the school day. U.S. adolescents between the ages of 13 and 18 spend more than 1 hour per day on phones during school hours. I actually feel like that's rather low compared to what I've seen with teenagers, especially where my daughter goes to school. I think when they're not in class, they're on those things constantly. Mike, the bigger question to you would be, do you think the government needs to exert more regulation in this respect? Because I feel like now we have a lot of studies done, the research is in, and it's showed that there is such a harmful effect, especially on young people with these phones. But can the government exercise more authority in this realm, or is it just the onus on all the families one by one?
Well, I think that the government, regardless of who's been in charge of the government, has given, broadly speaking, given tech companies a pass.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got 20 years of history that says nothing but a pass. So should the government get proscriptive on what parents want to decide about their kids' own screen time? I think parents would probably push back on that as much as they would agree that there should be less. Should the government get more prescriptive on algorithms that push you toward this like likes and algorithms that push you toward a level of addiction? Maybe. I don't know. Wouldn't bother me at all, but I don't see any, given the level of like sophistication and lobbying and the amount of political donations coming from the tech industry, I don't have any realistic hope that that's ever going to happen. I think parents are kind of on their own on this one, and hopefully school districts at least get the phones out of the kids' hands while they're in school.
What do you think? 888-973-5476. Greg Tolman and Mike Lewis in on the John Curley Show. Now it's time to send it on over to the real-time traffic desk and Nate Connors.
Alrighty, South 5 is packed from Lake City Way to the West Seattle Bridge. Linwood to Seattle down to about a half-hour drive. North 5 is heavy as well, approaching the West Seattle Bridge to the Convention Center. Crossing the lake from Bellevue into Seattle, not too bad, but plan on 25 minutes still on both 520 and I-90. Bellevue to Everett has improved to 50 minutes. Seattle to Everett's at 45 minutes. Bellevue to Renton's going to take you a half hour. It's packed still from 520 down to the VMAC. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway has improved to 50 minutes. Seattle to Federal Way is down to 40 minutes. And if you're heading up towards Snoqualmie Pass this evening, eastbound remains temporarily closed near milepost 45 due to numerous spinouts and crashes due to icy conditions and just really heavy snow up there. No estimated time when they're going to reopen this. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Hi, I'm Charlie Hart.
And I'm Amanda Factor.
Toppled by the U.S., Manuel Noriega and Nicolas Maduro.
Former State Attorney General Rob McKenna joins us to talk about how the two cases differ and what happens next for Maduro.
The snow continues to pile up in the mountains. We'll have the latest on the winter storm warning.
And, of course, Sully has traffic every 10 minutes.
Hope you can join us tomorrow, 5 to 9 on Seattle's Morning News.
On KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM and the KIRO Newsradio app.
Your home should be your sanctuary. There's nothing worse than coming home at the end of a long day to disorganized chaos. Let Closets by Design step in. John Curley here for Closets by Design. They transformed our closets and garage into a perfectly organized space. If your closets are just busting at the seams, it's time to call in the pros at Closets by Design Seattle. The free in-home consult allows you to look at materials, colors, and finish options. They measure everything, and help you design the perfect system for your space, all for free. They do more than just closets, too. Garages, home offices, even laundry rooms. And right now, they're offering huge end-of-the-year savings up to 40% off, plus an additional 15% off and 18 months financing and free installation. Go to closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to schedule your free in-home design consultation today. That's closetsbydesign.com or 1-800-BY-DESIGN. Tell them Curly sent you.
Sniffles and sneezes got you down? GoodRx is here to help with big savings on commonly prescribed cold and flu meds. GoodRx is free and easy to use. GoodRx is accepted at all major pharmacies like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Just search your prescription, find a coupon, then show your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx is not insurance, but it works whether you have insurance or not. If you do, GoodRx may beat your copay price. Download the free app or visit goodrx.com to save today.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free delivery. Angel of the Winds Arena, Everett. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-897-4400. That's 800-897-4400.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good evening, I'm Aaron Granillo. The state makes a 7.5 million ton mistake about the benefits of the Climate Commitment Act. KIRO News Radio's Heather Bosch explains.
The Washington State Commerce Department said that thanks to money raised by the CCA, the state's providing rebates which allow lower-income families to switch to appliances and products powered by electricity instead of fossil fuels, and that the program will reduce 7.5 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. Only it won't. It'll only reduce 78,000 tons of emissions. The department issued that correction, blaming the vastly different number on a clerical error. Heather Bosch, KIRO News Radio.
At least 40 people were killed in the U.S. mission that captured the leader of Venezuela and his wife. This is according to Venezuelan officials who say those killed include civilians and military personnel. Washington Congressman Adam Smith, the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, got a classified briefing on that operation and tells CNN.
The UN Charter is clear. We signed on to the UN Charter, so therefore we were clearly breaking the law and doing a regime change operation. That's not even debatable.
White House says Maduro is a narco-terrorist who destabilized the region. He and his wife both pleaded not guilty yesterday in a New York courtroom to drug trafficking charges. U.S. Marshal Service warns of a surge in online scams. KIRO Newsradio's Jillian Raftery reports.
Scam losses have quadrupled since 2020, in large part because scammers are getting better and using urgency, like convincing emails telling you about an outstanding warrant. That's what the Marshal Service is warning about. They have case numbers, even signatures supposedly from an active judge. When scammers get you on the phone, caller ID may even say it's from a courthouse or government agency, but it's all fake. Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
King County Council welcomed a special guest to today's meeting.
This is
Jeopardy host and Edmonds native Ken Jennings was recognized today for his advocacy for cancer research and his work on the game show.
It's a great side hustle, but it does leave me time to still be part of the Seattle community and help out where I can.
Jennings, of course, began hosting Jeopardy as a guest in 2021 after the passing of Alex Trebek. Let's go now to the real-time traffic desk at 5:32 with Nate Connors.
All right, South 5 into Seattle is still heavy from Lake City Way to the West Seattle Bridge. Linwood to Seattle is still about a half-hour drive. North 5, you're packed at the Michigan Curve to the Convention Center. Crossing the lake from Bellevue is down to 20 minutes on 520, where you'll jam up in mid-span. 25 minutes on I-90, and it's slow from Island Crest Way into Seattle. Bellevue to Everett, 50 minutes. North 405, bumper to bumper through Kirkland. You'll thin out through Totem Lake, and then it's slow again from Bothell into Alderwood. Seattle to Everett's at 45 minutes. It's crowded from Northgate into Linwood. Bellevue to Renton, we're at 25, 30 minutes. It's packed from 520 to the VMAX still. Northbound 405 is slow from South Center through the Renton S-curves. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeway, we're at 45 minutes. Tacoma to Olympia is a 40-minute drive. Oh, yeah, and again, if you're heading up to Snoqualmie Pass, eastbound 90 remains closed at milepost 48 due to multiple spinouts and collisions. Still no estimated time to reopen. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Going to continue with that heavy mountain snow at times tonight, right until about midnight or so. Then should start to taper off as the evening goes on. Some areas here in the lowlands, though, could wake up to some wet snow tomorrow morning. Right now, 45 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Mike Lewis, Greg Tomlin here. It turns out that your aspirations for... I'm sorry, I jumped in early. This is a sponsored segment, and Greg would like to read you that sponsorship.
This hour brought to you by Wilcox Family Farm Eggs, and it's time for the teeny tiny lady to spin the wheel, Mike.
Right. Andrew, you don't have to make them do the wheel.
Oh, come on.
You made me. What's the one thing I'll make you do?
All right. And?
I'm not sure what this does, but...
I don't even know what it's for.
It's obligatory, I guess?
It lands on somebody's... Whose name did it land on, Andrew?
Landed on Mike.
Mike. You have to share your favorite egg recipe.
Your favorite Wilcox Family Farm egg recipe?
My favorite egg recipe... Actually, so I did significantly a few years ago up my scrambled eggs game.
I'll be the judge of that.
It is because you use low heat over a longer period of time. The eggs curd slowly, and you make the eggs are so good that it tastes like you've actually added cream to them. That's what you do to make good scrambled eggs.
String cheese?
That's the joke I was going to make.
You do not shred string cheese on anything. String cheese is essentially candle wax. I don't know why you would put it on anything.
It's got that salty artificial flavor that enhances any...
Just have the salt, you know?
Okay.
Just have the salt.
How about green bell peppers?
No, hard pass. Green bell peppers?
Yeah.
In eggs?
Yeah.
Mike?
Well, I mean,
saute them up a little.
Yeah, yes.
That's amazing.
You just keep it to the egg. You don't add anything to it.
I think a good scrambled eggs, if they're made really well, you do not need to add anything. Little salt, little pepper, and you're absolutely there.
Got Anthony Bourdain over here. Okay. All right. Sorry to derail the topic
Well, it
at
started,
hand,
and
Mike.
obviously you guys have punished me enough for forgetting the segment sponsor. So trust me, lesson learned will not happen again. All right. So it turns out that your aspirations for big home ownership are maybe poorly placed. And I don't know how big of a home, if you own a home, or how big of a home you own.
You want to know the square footage right now, right here, right now?
Sure.
It's a little over 2,000 square feet.
Okay,
in
so
the
it's
home I
a
live in.
decent sized home. Yeah. And mine is pretty small. In fact, it's about the same size as my one bedroom apartment. But the idea here is that apparently, according to people who study such things, that smaller homes lead to happier lives. And some of the rationale for it actually makes a little bit of sense. Although I can tell you, when you live in a small house, it's much like living in a boat. And like if there's something comes on, something else has to go off, right? You get to a maximum storage, and you cannot. So you really have to make very clear decisions that if I love this table, that other table's it's not hanging around in the basement. It's getting out of there. And so the idea being that if you're in a smaller home, you just as collectively, as a family or as a couple or whatever, you are in each other's space more. And weirdly enough, we calibrate and adjust to that sort of idea that we are around. We don't have these areas of isolation within a large structure. I hadn't thought about that a whole lot, but I've spent my whole life living in our house. When I was a kid was probably, I don't even know what it was, maybe 1,200 square feet, maybe something along that. And the house I'm in now is technically listed at 750 square feet. There is more in the basement, but that's not really regular space. It's sort of like a spare bedroom and a little office down there. And so, I don't know. I mean, it does make some sense. Do you feel like you would be happier in a smaller house? Do you feel like you're at the right size right now?
Believe it or not, this is one of the stories I was most excited to talk about today, because my wife and I have been talking about this dynamic for about a year now, because we've lived in bigger homes, smaller homes, respectively. We've lived in dorm rooms. We've been all up in other people's space just because out of necessity, and then we've been for a time in more sprawling environments and so on and so forth. I think we should be talking more about this as a society, because relationships change fundamentally based on the space you live in. Mm-hmm. And I've known families that live in 4,000, 5,000 square foot homes, and it's like the daughter or the son is living in like a different wing of the house, and you need an excuse to go see that family member. Whereas if you live in smaller quarters, you're kind of, for lack of a better term, living on top of each other and have to adjust to each other's idiosyncrasies and so on and so forth. Now, I said our home is about 2,000 square feet. We have a family of 5. 2 of our sons share a bedroom. Our daughter has her own room, and my sons are going to share that bedroom till our oldest is like 16. And they'll often complain, right? Like, our sister gets her own room, and my brother's driving me crazy and stuff. And yeah, they're not wrong. It's a lot harder to share that bunk bed, and one's a lot messier than the other. But the refining of the character that it's doing between both of them is something that you cannot overestimate, and it's a real thing that happens. And my wife always makes the point, like, get used to it. Life is about living amongst other people and living in close quarters to other people. I don't know if you ever go to rich neighborhoods. This actually has an effect on neighborhoods too. Because there's far fewer houses, right? You might get 9 houses as opposed to a lower income neighborhood. You could fit in like 25, 30 houses or apartments and so on and so forth. It forces you to get to know your neighbors more when you live in a small house. And that's good for communities because out of necessity, you have to come face to face with the person living right next to you. That can be a headache for some if you have a certain type of nightmare situation. But I like the idea of kind of choosing consciously to live in a smaller place. I don't think the American dream should be always bigger is better. That's not necessarily the case. I think it can lead to more isolation and more fracturing in family relationships and less community the more you have a big open space all to yourself.
Yeah, I think that it is the pursuit of larger homes and all these sort of zero lot line, houses, when they pack all the house edge to edge on a property to make it as big as possible. for me personally, a lot of times, especially with modern architecture, the house is sort of closed off at the front, right? You've got a porch, but you don't actually have a porch.
Everything is so vertical. It goes
It's
up.
vertical, but it's also closed off. Like it's not like you ever see your neighbor, if they have gardeners, maybe not, but you don't see your neighbors the way old houses were designed. You're walking from maybe a detached garage to the house. I mean, here's a funny story. So friends of mine years ago lived in a fairly new development outside of Sacramento in Laguna Hills. And it was, at one point, and it's a modern development, so, attached garage that you drive into, and then you go into the house through the garage. So you get in your garage, and then you walk through the back door of the garage into the kitchen or wherever it happens to lead out in the house. And at one particular point, they realized that a robin had built a bird's nest in their still hanging Christmas wreath because they had used the front door so infrequently that bird actually had time to build it. And so then they had to leave it there while the bird, raised the chicken, blah, blah, blah. But the point was that their whole life was like in a car, into the house, and then inside the house without ever having that pass through where their neighbors, they didn't know any of their neighbors, and they'd been there for 2 or 3 years, right? And I feel like there is a element of that happens inside a house when you're not already in people's space and business. We had 5 kids when I grew up in a smaller house than you're, and so you were always around someone, and you were so thankful when no one was around because you just wanted some peace and quiet, but you didn't realize how much socialization is going on. Being an only kid and then going away to college and getting roommates for the first time has to be a shock. What didn't happen to me because there's always people around, but I think that would be a hard adjustment if you were young and always had your own space.
And the amount of compromise you have to exude when you live with people in closer quarters is a net positive for you as a person.
For the rest of your life.
Yes, because you're going to compromise with your wife. You're not always going to get exactly what you want. Or
your roommates, because people are living, multiples to a house now, right?
Here's a great sentence from this article at MSN.com. Humans aren't very good at prioritizing what makes them happy, economists say, especially when it comes to living arrangements. We systematically overlook the costs, mortgages, commuting, maintenance, while dramatically undervaluing intangible benefits that actually dictate our happiness. Seeing our kids at night, hanging with friends, knowing our neighbors, and walking places. It's not that big houses make us unhappy. It's what we give up in pursuit of them. That's why so many people can end up house rich, but relationship poor, vaguely unsatisfied in their bigger homes. Greg Tomlin and Mike Lewis in on the John Curley Show. Let's send it on over to Nate Connors at the Real-Time Traffic Desk.
Thanks, Greg. The Emerald Queen Casino's got our update. Here in Seattle, South 5 still heavy from about Lake City Way to the West Seattle Bridge, and Linwood to Seattle is going to take you a half hour. North 5 is starting to thin out a little bit, but it's still packed as you approach the West Seattle Bridge in the downtown. Bellevue to Everett has improved. In fact, Bellevue to Everett and Seattle to Everett have both improved to 35 minutes. Not much in your way, and what is in your way, you're close to freeway speeds. Bellevue to Renton, a half hour. It's still packed from mid-Bellevue to about 112th there in the Newcastle, and then this will start to thin out as you head into Renton. Seattle to Federal Way, 35 minutes. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeways at 45 minutes. Got a new crash heading in through JBLM, South 5 approaching Bridgeport, blocking 2 right lanes, and you're backed up to the Tacoma Mall. Plan on 40 minutes now between Tacoma and Olympia. Live professional boxing is back with the main event February 6th at the Emerald Queen Casino. The main event powered by WFC February 6th only at Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. KIRO Newsradio Real-Time Traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
This is your city.
Seattle voters have spoken, and they wanted change.
Wilson really resonated, especially with some younger voters.
On the terms of working people, make it work for them.
Katie Wilson is just actually not afraid to say she's a socialist.
What challenges does the political newcomer face once taking office?
Never having any managerial experience.
Stay with KIRO News Radio and MyNorthwest.com for the latest.
Change takes time, and we don't give it time.
And the KIRO News Radio app.
Happy New Year, Susan. I really appreciate you picking up the bill for lunch.
I'm happy to. One of my New Year's resolutions is being better with money. So I've started using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for buying gas.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I earn cash back just for buying the gas I was already buying.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make $200 to $300 this year.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside
Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play and start earning cash back on everyday gas purchases. Use promo code RIDER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents per gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code RIDER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code RIDER. Code RIDER. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
I love the fact that Mike Novak sells more homes than anybody else. This guy works so hard. You know what's happening? People are selling their homes again. And if you don't have Mike Novak's name on that sign, well, you're wasting your time and your house is just going to be sitting on the market. Mike is so confident that he can sell your house quickly. And for more, you'll pay no commission if Mike Novak doesn't sell that home in 21 days. So go to meetthenovaks.com. I'll spell Novaks for you. Novaks. Meetthenovaks.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. Veterans, the new year's a good time to re-examine finances. If you're struggling with bills, VA loan expert Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage says he may have a solution.
Many veterans are sitting on a lot of home equity, and even with a low mortgage rate, your total monthly payments may be a struggle. The good news is with today's lower VA loan rates, you can do a VA cash-out refinance and pay off your high-interest rate debt and roll everything into one low monthly payment. For example, one VA client saved more than $1,200 per month. And remember, with a VA loan, you can buy a home with no money down.
And you always talk to a real person, not an AI robot.
That's right. Whether you're a veteran or seeking a conventional loan, you'll talk directly to me or an experienced senior advisor, never an AI bot.
Honest advice you can trust. From Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage. 425-649-6000.
The John Curley Show mailbag is brought to you by Advanced Hair Restoration.
Favorite John Curley facelift fill-ins, Greg Tomlin and Mike Lewis. Time to read some texts.
We are essentially the before picture.
Exactly. There's going to be an upgrade when John returns.
Exactly.
Major upgrade. The juxtaposition will be quite glaring. All right, time to read some letters on John's absence. Elena in the 206 says, great to hear the two brightest minds on KIRO Radio. Happy Three Kings Day. Feliz Dia de Reyes for Mike. Hope Melchor, Gaspar, and Balthazar left many gifts for you. Is that a New Testament reference there, Mike?
Very, very nice. You know, here's the problem with being raised Catholic is you just never know the Bible. Nice. We were always taught, do not argue with Protestants. They know the Bible better than you do. From Egg in the 206. Greg and Mike, one of the best duos.
Fernando in Seattle. Wait, but where's Joe? Is he getting a facelift too?
No, just not feeling well. He will hopefully be back tomorrow.
Okay.
He misses John. I think he sometimes gets morose.
Right.
If John
He
is
gets
not
down.
around. Yeah, he gets down. Area code 360. What did John Curley do to the teeny tiny while he's in for slice and dice?
Is she getting her own upgrade?
I know that would be.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, she needs a voice lift.
The scalpel that
put it to complete inaudible. Yes.
The tiny scalpel they need to do plastic surgery on the teeny tiny.
Giraffe on YouTube says, I wish KIRO had set up a facelift cam. That way we could see how John is doing in real time.
Hold it. Sponsorship notes. Someone write this down and get it to the bosses. On baldness. Oh, good. I'm glad this one came to me. From Area Code 253, hey guys, on the topic of focus of Korean people and looks, we took a trip to Cambodia almost 2 years ago, and going there, we took Korean Airlines. The flight attendants for Korean Airlines were slender, beautiful, and all had identical hair color and honestly looked like absolute clones of each other. It was like they had created Korean Barbie doll clones for that flight. It was very evident that looks was a part of the requirements for the job. You know, the funny thing is, if you ever fly Singapore Airlines, it actually not only is a requirement, their flight attendants are mandatorily retired at 34.
Oh, for real.
Oh, for
there's
real.
some ageism going on there.
Oh, for real.
Irene from Tacoma, the Mar-a-Lago look of females associated with Trump is a thing. To me, it's really creepy.
Linda in the 360, it's not socially acceptable for women to be balding.
Okay. Tina in the 425. While alopecia is an excluded diagnosis in healthcare, many of our large employers in the Pacific Northwest do have a benefit for wigs and hair pieces for cancer patients.
That's great. On pizza, of course, most important topic of the day from Steph in Renton. Tutabella take and bake pizza, yum.
And area code 253, love me some Totinos.
Oh, you have not yet lived. 253.
My wife won't let me buy it. I want to get one just for old time's sake. And she feels
There's
like
a toaster oven here
if we
in
buy it,
Cairo.
it'll be my last.
Buy one and bake one here.
She's like, you won't make it out of this alive.
From Trucker Joe, from Graham, nah fam, Safeway branded pizza with fresh sliced toppings from the veggie section. Hey, that's a good idea.
That's what's on Greg's hard drive. Is just photos of Totinos.
Dude, pizza porn. Pizza porn all day, bro. Right out of the oven. Bob on YouTube.
30 terabytes worth.
22. Actually, I think leftover pizza is best, says Bob. The next day is really the way I prefer pizza, and cold.
All right, sorry, on the aside, look, folks, here's the way you reheat pizza. There is no better way to reheat pizza. Do it in a skillet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do not do it in a microwave. You should be able to be arrested for that.
Here's the slight revision I will make to that.
Don't do it. Don't say string cheese
on it.
Don't say string cheese.
I was going to say my varsity move in this day and age is you let it heat up in the air fryer so the top of it gets done. Then you put it on the skillet so the bottom of it gets done as well.
Yum! And now it is time for the letter of the day.
Do you care for this one or you want me to grab it?
I have to sift through a lot of pages here.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of letters.
We got a lot of text. Thank you, folks. Me or you?
You do the honor.
Letter of the day. Charlie on the beach in Seattle. Charlie, if you're on the beach in Seattle, you're having a rugged day. Very nice and polite discourse between those guys tonight. Enjoyable and a little bit of fire. Ooh. I like that.
That's
what we're bringing is just a little bit of fire.
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote.
Didn't write no more.
Didn't write no more. Great time with Mike Lewis in for John Curley. Thanks for joining us. Let's send it on over to Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
All righty, let's see. Heading into Seattle, South 5 still heavy from the U District. I-90, Linwood to Seattle is down to 25 minutes. North 5 still packed as you approach the West Seattle Bridge into downtown. Bellevue to Everett and Seattle to Everett are both clearing out really quick now. In fact, it's just 35 minutes on both routes. Bellevue to Renton, we're down to a half hour. It's still heavy from mid-Bellevue to 112th, and then you're going to start to thin out heading into Renton. Seattle to Federal Way, 35 minutes. You're slow at Interurban Avenue down to South 260th still. Renton to Puyallup on the Valley Freeways at 45 minutes. JBLM South 5 approaching Bridgeport. Turns out it's a jackknife semi blocking two right lanes. You're backed up to South 74th. Tacoma to Olympia is up to 45 minutes. And we're still closed eastbound 90 temporarily at milepost 48 due to multiple spinouts and collisions. WashDOT is just going to clear those out of the way to reopen this. Still no estimated time to reopen. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
And so we are set.
The road to the Super Bowl runs through Seattle.
Seattle is going to win this football game. A single-season franchise record of 14 wins. The fourth number one seed in franchise history.
Reaction.
Just incredibly proud of them.
Conversation.
The road to the Super Bowl runs through Seattle.
Complete coverage at mynorthwest.com. And the home of the Seahawks. KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM and the KIRO News Radio app.
I'm Chris Davis, former King County prosecutor and founder of the Davis Law Group in Seattle. If you've been injured in a crash caused by impaired or drunk drivers, there are special considerations that need to be taken to protect your legal rights. Davis Law Group's team of investigators and lawyers know how to properly investigate DUI crashes and identify all parties who might be legally responsible for your injuries and damages. Call Davis Law Group at 206-888-8888 or get my free book at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Ready to kick off 2026 on a healthier path? Our New Year, New You event has everything you need, from saltwater hot tubs to rejuvenating saunas and cold plunges, or staying active with a swim spa. We've got the perfect way to help you feel your best. Enjoy special savings on our entire wellness lineup now through January 11th. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Guys, low energy, low drive, or strength not what it used to be? For many men, it's low testosterone. At Revive Men's Health Washington, start with a free T-check exam and consultation to get real answers. And this month only, qualified patients may receive 25% off testosterone replacement therapy. Call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. Terms apply. Must medically qualify.
Hartley here from Wilcox Family Farms. I'm so excited to have my cousin Amelia with me today. So I saw that you visited the baby chicks.
I got to hold 7 of them. They were so cute.
Do you know why Wilcox chickens are so happy?
Because they get to play outside?
Yes.
Happy chickens are healthy chickens.
From our farm to your table, Wilcox Family Farms eggs. Locally fresh
since 1909.
What does VA mean to me?
A place for my daughter to call home. Thanks to the VA Home Loan.
A new lease on life. The best healthcare team I've ever had is here at VA.
And education and the opportunity to open doors I never thought possible with my GI Bill.
The financial support I need to manage the disabilities I developed because of my service.
Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Download the KIRO News Radio app, where you can watch us live or stream us live anywhere, anytime.
How would this initiative, whatever this initiative is, how would he fund it?
Stay connected everywhere. Download the KIRO News Radio app, your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio.